like she is required for.
Yeah.
The bigger ones. But you'll let us know what you think.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is showtime. As Freedom said, it is showtime. I need to get one of those roller pads. Yeah, so everything we could find, just to do a brief recap on the on the topic of Van Taylor, I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find anything that would suggest that she is a double agent. Could you?
No, literally nothing.
Nothing. But, Psycho had a good question and asked, what is her, what's her success rate? And I wish I could figure that out, but her background's really hard to find, you guys. It's really hard. There is nothing out there that's easy to find. It doesn't matter what search engine you're on. Doesn't matter if you're using Wayback. It doesn't matter what you're using. It's really, really hard to find. When I used Wayback, it just started bringing things up from her school. So, and there were only 2 things from that too. So Ian had said that there were a few things that he sent in Discord.
Yeah, I got them.
Okay.
I'm going to have to send them over to you specifically, though.
Okay. And then hang on 1 second here, and we will do intro madness. I wonder if... No, doesn't work like that. Okay. It's all right. No big deal. All right. So welcome to the show, everybody. This is the True Crime Talk Show by Thought Riot Podcast. My name's Brendan.
And I'm Malia. Well, that felt really close.
It was really close.
This isn't working.
But hello, everybody. Hello. We will go through hellos here soon. So tonight we're going to try to be organized, okay? We're going to try really hard to be organized. And we are going to bring up the topics and break them down and chop them up and reconstruct them and figure it out. And then we will talk, figure it out, and move on to the next topic. So one thing I do want to say, though, is, today is the 1-year anniversary I was debating on if I wanted to say anything for the 1-year anniversary. And the reason why I felt like that was um I have a really hard time watching a lot of the mainstream sources that I don't feel like are being fair in this case, go out there and put on like a 1-year anniversary big ordeal, but then the day before and the day after, they're pushing stories that aren't finding justice or I don't believe are supporting the narrative or to find justice. So I don't know. It just made me feel really weird, but we aren't them. We aren't a part of it. So I decided to go ahead and talk on it anyways. Just because there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it, I feel like. And I don't know. Is that not weird for you that the decisions some of these mainstream media sources are making are not going to get justice for the people that they're putting on a pedestal and claiming like, you know, we want to remember them and anniversary. I feel like the more important thing is getting justice for the crime that their lives were taken from them against their will. Like, to me, that's number one.
I mean, I don't know. I think that it's important to remember the victims of this crime. Yeah, I watching Ben Mogan's interview too, J Ray. That one got to me quite a bit. But I do at the same time understand what you're saying and where you're coming from, because let's face it, media corporations don't really care about anybody. They care about what gets views. They care about money. That's what they care about. So
yeah. And
that's why they character assassinate in that way. It's always about money.
yeah. And it could, I could be flawed in what I'm looking at. I try really hard to point out when I'm being biased, and this is 100% a biased opinion. I can tell through and through this is a biased opinion that I'm giving you guys right now. But I think I'm looking at it very black and white. Like in my life, I have a hard time not like categorizing or prioritizing things. And I look at this and I think, okay, for me, what is the number one most important priority? Is it a remembrance show when they're going to be remembered every day anyways? Or is it getting justice for a so heinous crime that they had absolutely no control over? And for me, the justice is more important than like making a big deal out of today, because today could be any day and every day, but getting justice is a need. It needs to happen. And I don't know, that's just how I feel about it. But
yeah, it's just, I don't know how to feel about it. I did see that in the one that had the dean in it, the dean of the University of Idaho, he brought up the house.
Yeah.
That one made me feel a little bit salty, personally.
Yeah.
Now, don't you guys think it's odd that house, their house, okay, you can see from everywhere?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is like,
isn't that weird though? Why that house? Why is that the house that was picked? The one that's on top of a hill that you can see from everywhere.
Yeah, I feel like I understand the dean's point of view there, because you can see the house from everywhere. Like, literally everywhere. It almost doesn't matter where you're standing unless you're on the backside of the town. You can almost always see the house, and it's really creepy, and it's really sad. So coming from my experience in corporate America for my entire career, as long as I've had a job, it has been in a It's been in a top 100, top 500 company. Looking at it from that perspective, I understand why you don't want it there. Like, I get it. I understand that.
I understand it too, but we're not past the trial. That's my issue with it, is they've made such a stink about getting it torn down so they can move on. And I'm like, that's just kind of gross to me. The kids haven't gotten justice yet. I think the house matters for trial. I know you don't really feel the same.
No, because I trust the defense. I trust the defense. And
it's not about, for me, it's not about trusting anybody.
Okay, so
once it's gone, it's gone. You can't undo that.
I don't want to segue into Anne, but along these same lines as the house, okay, if the defense, somebody who is a doctorate in their career, not only a doctorate, but has extensive additional training that most other lawyers or attorneys don't have, say that, hey, you can go ahead and tear it down. Even before this most recent, I don't want to give too much because it's one of the videos, but even before this most recent FBI revisit, you guys, I've thought, is there an angle that the defense doesn't want it there because they don't trust that something couldn't be manipulated, changed, altered, whatever? And I've wondered that from the very, 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 very beginning. And look, if that house would have been torn down, there would not have been another FBI visit. Is that FBI conducting research for the prosecution? Is that FBI conducting, you know what I mean? Like, we just don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Could it make it a harder job to defend Kohberger in this case and situation with that house up?
Well, like in the Murdaugh case, going to the place, walking through it can set a narrative in their mind. It's those connections the mind makes. That's why the prosecutors do that.
Yeah,
it's this emotional connection, seeing it with your own eyes, knowing that person died there, seeing how this person could have entered, and like, you know, the prosecution sold you this narrative of them entering through here and doing this. Like, it can help solidify the theory in their head, which means any defense lawyer would not want that house there.
I get it. I understand it 100%. I completely get that angle. But I don't think, I think there's a reason, okay? I think that when you're a defense attorney, okay, for everybody here, because we don't have enough information to say the prosecution and state is being honest, okay? There is no fraudulence going on. There is no Dr. Moore type stuff going on. There is no Brady Giglio stuff going on. So when I'm looking at this case, and I'm taking a second to put myself in the defense's shoes, if I was Ann Taylor, I would always be thinking of every decision in two ways. One, the prosecution and state is coming from good faith, and I need to take into account my decision based on their good faith decision or statement. And two, the state is coming from a place of manipulation and or fraud. I don't think there's any way for Ann Taylor not to approach every situation with those two angles. So when looking at that house, I would be making those same decisions. Okay, what does that house do for me if they're coming at this from good faith? You know, I don't know what that answer is, but what would this house do for me if the prosecution is coming from a boys in blue, I need to protect our butts? You know what I mean? And the reason why I always hold back, I always reserve using words like fraud, cover up, things like that, because I don't think it's that simple. In my life, I am a super, super, super optimistic person to the point that I let it cause me issues in my life, you guys. So, but I would rather have issues in my life for being too optimistic, then have issues from being too negative. So that's just a gamble I take. But I truly believe that almost everybody in life comes to every decision from a place that they believe they are doing the right thing, even when they're doing the wrong thing. I believe genuinely most people believe they're doing the right thing. So in a situation, I'm not even going to use this case as an example, in a situation where the police are manipulating and fraudulently altering the evidence, I truly believe most times they think they're doing it for a good situation. They think they're making their city safer. They think they're protecting people from this menace. They think, you know what I mean? And that is a very dangerous type of cover up to deal with, because it's so much harder to be found out. It's so much harder to be seen, because the people that are a part of it truly believe they're doing the right thing. Try and force somebody to change their beliefs, you guys, when they truly believe they're doing the right thing. It is not an easy task.
No.
You know?
No, it's not. It's not at all. That was quite a long rant.
Yeah.
I lost you at the end. I've got to be honest.
Yeah.
My head started thinking about other things.
That's what rants are for. They're supposed to like make people think about different things.
Other than what you're saying.
Yeah. Yep. At least that's what I do when people are ranting. I'll hear something they say and then like, pew, off I go.
Do I look spooky tonight? Yeah, but I mean, I appreciated for the most part everything that was put out about the victims today, you know, remembering them. I think the one thing we need to remember the most when we look at them, though, and hear about them is that they don't have justice yet. And I honestly feel like justice is what is at stake. I think that in my world, truth is justice, and nobody can have justice if that truth is not heard. Like, you know what I mean? If it's not out in the open for everyone to know, then there is no justice.
Yeah, look, transparency is one of the hardest things ever. So it is one of the hardest things ever to overcome. Nobody likes being transparent. Nobody likes putting their dirty laundry out there in the wind for everyone to see. It is almost always uncomfortable. I'll just use myself. It's always almost uncomfortable for me in any situation, even though it's important to remember that that is the right thing to do. That is the positive thing to do. That is the most beneficial thing to do for yourself and for others. Is to be transparent with these things. That allows for group and social accountability, that allows for suggestions and growth, that allows for all the positive things that can come with making a mistake.
What did making a mistake have to do with what I said?
I don't know. I lost it.
I was like, what are you even talking about at this point? Oh, we're a mess. We're supposed to be organized tonight.
Yeah.
Hi, Anne. Hey, Michael. Hey,
Here,
Riddler.
say hi to everyone.
And thank you.
Go to the bathroom. That's why.
Oh, well, thank you guys. Can you grab that for me? Or wait, you can grab it when you get back. Just grab it when you get back. It's fine. It's fine. Firing Squad does sound, well, not just dystopian. It sounds backwards. That is what it sounds like to me. It sounds like we're going back to like the Wild Wild West or something. I mean, as long as they don't put a gun in the other guy's hand, I guess, and make him walk 10 paces. But hello, everyone. I see Rumsey's here. CH. LA. And Kimmy and J Ray and American Princess. KC. It's good to see all of you. Cheryl. I think I said hi to Riddler and Michael already. Good to see you guys. Heather. Actually, I just saw that you sent me a message on Discord before I got on, and I didn't get to check it yet. I'll look at it here in a minute. Yes. Absolutely. You know, sometimes I don't know what to believe, but I really hope all of them are somewhere safe and peaceful and above all of this. I think I use like, what is it called? Peace, Love, Planet, or so, I don't remember. It smells really good though, and you can get it just about anywhere. Military still used firing squad? Really? Oh, hey, Violetta. Military still used firing squad when?
Like, the military still uses firing squad while on American soil, or if the crime warrants that while out of country?
I can see you, Ian. Hello, Ian. Yeah, the latent footprint puzzles me too. Riddler. I have pondered that in my head for so long. I still have no idea.
What?
I can't think of how that could have gotten there.
What, the latent footprint?
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah, someone was leaving a comment because we were talking about the video yesterday that I did, the reenactment of the crime, and we'll get into this in just a second. One thing I do.
You didn't grab it.
Want to do, you know, because we don't have like a really fancy picture memorial or anything. I thought we could just give them a moment of silence. You know, someone suggested that. I thought that's something positive to do. So
I'm gonna put out a short that's
yeah,
like a in memory of them.
Yeah, so we'll do that on the stream, and so, but with the latent footprint, going back to what I was saying. I need to get my thoughts together here so I can rant the right way. So from the video that somebody left yesterday. Oh, and I'm wearing the Dexter outfit. So, because someone also mentioned like wearing the Dexter stuff. Sorry, I'm all over the place.
Dexter wears that?
Yes. What?
Oh, yeah. You did show me
that. It is
that.
like his MO outfit.
You did show me
It is
that.
when the dark passenger's out. That's it. It's the dark passenger messing with me. All right. So latent footprint. Multiple people have talked about, and one person in specific that I was talking to in the comments that was saying, because it's a latent footprint, a lot of people get it wrong that that we think that it could be cleaned up. And it doesn't have to be cleaned up for it not to be seen. One thing I want to say with that, though, is I agree with you and understand that if someone was walking off of a covered mat or something, that isn't the case. There isn't an additional footprint. Therefore, I don't think that can be true, because when you're walking on the same ground, so let's say there's 10 paces of walking right here, and it's all laminate flooring, okay? And this person can take 10 steps, and on step 6, it leaves a latent footprint and doesn't leave any more. Not possible. That is not possible. 1 through 5, there's none. And then 6, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, there's none. What?
Yeah.
No way.
It doesn't make sense for sure. And I know Brendan's hair is so ridiculous right now.
What are you talking about? My hair is awesome, okay?
little things that flip out because it's at that awkward length.
My hair is super long, you guys.
It's way longer than I've ever seen it.
Yeah, because I'm going to grow it out.
Like how long? Yes, throw the tomato. Yes, that flip. I know.
What? That's what I'm going for, all right? I flip it out on purpose. No, not really. That's what my hair does naturally.
The footprint is caused by friction turning the corner, walking away from Xana's room, and turning away from Dee's room toward the slider.
I can see that being possible, but I don't think that's likely. Because, so that is with the assumption that turning the corner from the hallway out of Xana's room, they didn't have that same kind of friction, even though it's a tighter angle. So you would think there would be more friction going that direction than the wider angle to go out the door. So I don't think so. Now, I will tell you that based off how I walk, let me see if this shoe has it. Yeah, so I have friction on the outer parts of my shoes, right? So I rub my shoes when I walk almost every time. So that would have to be that whoever this person is had perfect steps, like they were tiptoeing maybe, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden they just had that one step that greased. It's very unlikely, you guys.
Yeah, I think it probably is too.
I don't think there's any other option because that whole route from Xana's room all the way to in front of Dylan's room, I'm assuming there's more than 10 steps there. And then one step, and then at least 10 more steps to go outside. No footprints? Just that one? I have such a hard time with that. Such a hard time with that. Shut up. I did not know that. You can throw a Vans from a 20-story building and it always lands right side up. Really? Vans were my they were my cliff jumping shoes. They were my everything shoes, but I don't know why you saying that made me think of this, but I would always go cliff jumping, and like if the cliffs were above 100 feet, it would always rip the sole of my shoe off when I hit the ground or when I hit the water. Yeah, because the heavy bottom. All right, so no, not with a parachute. No, the highest cliff that I've jumped off of was so high that we couldn't get a measurement on it. So we had a 90-foot string rope that we could dangle down, and it was way higher than that. It was probably another half of that. So it was probably at like 130 feet. Adrenaline was my thing growing up. That was just my thing.
Yep.
Skateboards, dirt bikes, cliff jumping, surfing, wakeboarding.
Do you want to look at any of the stuff that has been done today to remember the victims?
I mean,
or
we can during the moment of silence. We'll just put something up. What are you on the Gonsalves family page? Is there one that's for everybody, so that we're not favoring somebody?
There's the vigil.
Because I don't want to favor anybody.
Yeah, I'm not going to this page for that. I sent
And then we'll dig into the topics.
I sent you a link. There's some articles that were posted on a local news thing that cover all the parents and stuff that's been going on. The vigil.
Yeah. I didn't have a lot of planning into this, but that's probably good. Unless there's something pertinent to the case you're thinking. Because most of the remembrance stuff has music behind it. I was paying attention to it when I was watching it.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about playing any of that stuff.
Okay.
Unless we wanted to play like Stacy or Ben's or I don't know. But
no. We'll just do moment of silence and then go into our topics. So yeah, okay. So moment of silence for the 4 victims in this situation. I don't know. It makes me feel like I want to say something, but you know,
do say something.
I just think it's in any situation like this. I'm a problem solver. I can't help but be a problem solver. When anything's going wrong, my number one first reaction is to try and solve a problem. That is my go-to. And in this case, my number one most important thing when I'm thinking about this is just getting justice. You know, that's why I talk about it. That's why I dig into it. That's why I look for reasons and connections and possibilities. And you know, I think it's just good to remember them as people and not a problem for myself. So yeah.
I mean, everybody has flaws. It doesn't make them any less of a person. You know, I think unfortunately in the society we live in today, people go look at their victim social medias and they pick apart flaws. And those flaws really, they don't matter. You know, the people that they touched in their lives, the good that they did, now that they're gone, that's what 100% matters. And every single one of them clearly had a lot of people that loved them and cared about them. And, you know, I was looking at the videos because I'm making a short for remembering them. And it just makes me, it reminds me of me at that age, is what it reminds me of. And it just makes me think, gosh, like, I can't imagine what they went through in their last moments. I just can't imagine, you know, what they could have done with their lives. It's just such like a disgusting crime to do something like that, you know, to people who are literally just like, it's like getting your sea legs in life going to college, you know, like you're just figuring everything out. And, you know, they were really silly. All of them were super silly, hilarious. All of them seemed extremely positive in most situations. And I know social media can skew things, but from everything I saw, they all had such great senses of humor. And I think they need to be remembered for that, for the good that we've seen in them. And, you know, they were taken too soon for sure.
Yeah. I agree.
It does hit heavy. It does.
So we will do what's standard, like a minute?
Yeah.
Okay. So
or we could do like a half of a minute if you really can't take a full minute.
no,
That's okay.
I can do it.
Let's all sacrifice a minute just to think about the victims, to be quiet, and just think about them.
Okay. Ready, go. Okay.
I was only gonna laugh the whole time.
I just didn't know when I started.
It was about a minute.
Okay. Okay.
Roughly a minute. I paid attention, but then I forgot. So I forgot what the time was.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I do think silence is powerful for sure. 100%. Absolutely.
Kimmy said you can blink, Brendan.
Was I not blinking? All right. So moment of silence. That's important. I think because also
53 seconds of silence.
for the families, like I think regardless what you believe, it doesn't matter what you believe and where they went. You know, these people had family that loved them that are still here and still having to deal with this. So I think anytime there's any kind of remembrance or a moment of silence or anything like that, it's not only for the victims. You know, they aren't the only victims. There are parents that lost their kid, and honestly, depending on what your personal beliefs are, those parents might be in a worse hell than the kids right now. You know what I mean?
There definitely are.
You-
Like, there's
yeah.
no doubt about that.
There's just a lot of different beliefs out there. So I was trying to just cover everything. But yeah. And I think it extends to those people too, you know. It's just crazy. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's really hard in that situation, you know, when people are lost in such a tragic way. You know, because they died in such a tragic way that you can't help but think about that. But the parents are still here. Like, everyone who loved them and cared for them are still here and have to continuously think about the way they were taken, their last moments. Like, that would be really, really hard. And I can't even imagine what that would feel like. I know I've said that already a lot, but I can't.
Yeah. No,
And I think all of them, from what I've seen, for the most part,
I made a hair tie.
doing a super good job, you know, carrying on with their lives. You know, I thought Stacy Chapin's advice today when she spoke about Ethan was pretty good. She just talked about every day when you get up, you have to find that thing that you're getting up for. And it might just be something, you know, small, like the taste of your coffee, but you got to find that thing that gets you up every day and gets you going. And I thought that was really, really good advice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that same kind of idea that, living one day at a time. That's not only like an addict alcoholic thing. I think that is a good direction for life anytime something stressful is going on, is just focusing on the moment that you're in, whether it's a day, whether it's an hour, whether it's a minute, whether it's a second. Sometimes you got to just focus on that second. Like I feel like what we just did, really. And I think that's important. I really, really, really think that's important. And all I can hope for is I don't even need I don't need to be connected to any of this. I know there's a lot of true crime creators out there, and I hope nobody takes this as a shots fired moment from me. But a lot of true crime creators out there like focus on trying to make that break. And in my opinion, that doesn't need to, or I'll change it. For me, that's not important. I don't need to be the one that helps break that case or information for justice. I don't care who does it. I legitimately couldn't care less. Like, I'm the type of person where if it's that important to you and I have the information, I'll give it to you. You run with it. I don't care. I'm content knowing in my own head that I helped a situation out. You know what I mean? So where I'm going with that though is I I just hope there's some sort of justice that comes from this situation that feels like closure.
Yeah.
Like okay, here's a good example, and it's not perfect, and I don't think this is going to be perfect. Whether Brian is found innocent or Brian is found guilty, or they pick up somebody else, or whatever the circumstances are, no, not everyone's going to be happy, right? And that's something that everyone has to be prepared for. And a good example of that is the Watts case, where Chris Watts was arrested, right? Which is a huge win. A lot of people were happy about that. And I would say a majority of the people felt like that was a win, in general. But there are a lot of people that feel like there is still someone who is involved in that crime that needed to see charges too. So it doesn't feel all the way closed, but it feels at least semi-closed, like progress was made. I am so terrified for this case. If somehow the police messed up and they're now trying to backtrack it because they didn't do things the way that they should have, and Brian is the guy and gets let off, like, can you imagine this case going cold, the double jeopardy, not being able to pursue it because a mistake was made?
It'd be horrible.
It would be horrible.
I think he would probably get assassinated, to be honest.
I don't even care about Brian. I couldn't care less. I'm more worried about all the families that are impacted by the loss of these lives. Like, a ton of people are all going to be impacted for this for the rest of their lives. Do you think the police have a backup suspects?
No.
I don't either. And the reason why is because I feel like I am seeing that boys in blue close the ranks. We need to protect this. I could be wrong. I'm just guessing here, you guys, but I feel like that's what I'm seeing. I really do.
Yeah, and I was talking about that earlier. Like, we were talking about how feeling like it's a bittersweet day, and I think it is for everybody, that we're a year in and we don't really have any more answers than we had
January 1st.
Yep, since like January. We don't have much more. And I don't think the family does either. Any of the families, I don't think they have much more. And it makes me concerned because of the issues I see in the case that Brian could get off if he's guilty or get convicted if he's innocent. And if he's innocent and convicted, I mean, that would be terrible. But think about if he's truly not guilty. Like, do the police have anybody else? Like, have they been looking into any of the other theories on the case at all? How far in the beginning, when they whittled down their suspect list to get to Brian, okay, because they couldn't do the IGG without not having any other suspects. Essentially, a case has to be cold. There are no suspects to do IGG.
Yeah, it's like they shot themselves in the foot by saying, no, we have no other suspects because we need this. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. And I don't feel like it's good police work or good prosecuting to have such a close-ended statement that this is who this person is. That's why I keep going back to saying, I hope more than anything that the prosecution comes out and says, hey, here's all the evidence. We have video. We have video of him stopped at a red light. We have video of him turning on the street. We have video of him parking in front of the house. We have video of him walking in. Like, I hope they have it, because I'm just worried that they thought the same thing about DNA that we did when they found that. I'm worried that they felt the same way about DNA that we did when they found that. That, oh, this is it. This is his DNA and it's here. This is our guy.
Yep. Brian Inton is reporting on News Nations. They're going to be looking into the prosecutor's background. Interesting. I wonder what that's going to mean. I've come across some interesting information today. I don't know. I feel like people always ask, like, because I don't believe Brian was framed. Do I think there is a chance? Yes, but I don't think it's very likely. It's rare to be framed, you know, like straight up framed.
Yeah.
That's a rarity.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean impossible. That it does not mean impossible. So people always ask, why frame? Why? Like, what do they benefit from framing Brian Kohberger? To make you sound like an idiot? Like, why would they do that? I don't know. Why have they ever framed anybody?
I mean,
it's happened. So why do they ever do it?
I mean, I can answer that. And it goes back to the statement that I was saying, that everybody believes they're doing the right thing. I truly believe that in life. I think those situations when a cop smudges the evidence, and I think that's how most frame jobs happen, is it's little things, and those little things snowball and they become bigger and they become bigger. And then it turns into a situation where it's like, oh shoot, they could find out that I exaggerated that number. They could find out that that report wasn't necessarily true. They could find out that that piece of evidence wasn't actually found in the other room. It was found over here in the kitchen. They could find out, and then all of a sudden that ball is rolling, baby, and there is no stopping it at that point. And it makes me so nervous in these situations. These are the key Innocence Project situations, and if you know what behaviors to look for, you can identify these things. How do you guys think the Innocence Project knows what people to back and fight for? Because they know what things to look for in these cases. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They know what to look for. And I am terrified that this could turn into a case that is not real justice. I'm terrified of that. I can't imagine these family members. I wanted to report on one thing. This is a total sidestep. So, because I don't want to talk about this anymore. But the supposed like black sheep of Steve's daughter. Have you seen her most recent statement?
No.
So I don't want to talk about it. I don't think there's any worth in there. I don't think that it benefits the case. I would prefer to stay case focused, but just simply, they said they're going to handle things internally, like between the family. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, good. That's what should have happened the whole time.
Yeah, and I've learned new information since we talked about it. That makes me feel like that was something she was doing without tagging people in it, without trying to get attention. She was literally coming to TikTok, which it's such a weird age we live in now, that people go to social media to just talk about their feelings like a therapist. Like they literally go out and talk like they're getting therapy from the internet.
It doesn't change. It's a mistake.
I agree, but I do think that she was like doing that regularly.
I mean,
so I don't know that it was just for attention, but regardless, I feel bad for her. You know, anybody that goes out seeking attention about stuff like this, anybody that goes out and I think airs all their stuff on the internet and, you know, comes to the internet to cry, to, you know, air out their negative emotions or what's going on in their life, I think they're really hurting badly and looking for anyone to reach out. They're desperate at that point, I think. So I feel bad for her. I do. But I think it should be handled internally in the family. And I hope that they all can handle it with grace. You know, let go of the mistakes of the past, realize time is short, and move on.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wonder what the evidence is that they're talking about with the prosecution. If I was mainstream media, and this is the one thing that I've wanted to look into, is there is so much bits of stories coming out left and right and left and right and left and right. The one thing that I've said from the very beginning is there is an active and intentional character assassination approach that is being conducted here. If anyone doesn't believe that, open your eyes, man. Open your eyes. It is 100% going on right now. And I'm not condemning it. I don't think there's any way that it can't go on. I think that there is only a way to prevent it from being unfair going forward. And the way that you would prevent it from being unfair going forward is by including cameras in the courtroom. Every court hearing that isn't a minor, that doesn't have nation secrets, state secrets, things like that involved in it, should all be publicized, should all go to a live feed on some website where you could pay a monthly fee, whatever, it doesn't matter. That would prevent this character assassination type stuff from happening. But that's the one thing that I've wondered from the prosecution side is somebody going to be able to look into Bill's background and make connections that there is some kind of communication going on to prove an intentional character assassination? Because anybody that thinks there isn't one going on, come on. There absolutely is.
Yeah, there is.
There absolutely is. And if you're the prosecution, you do not want to be tied to that, because with our current rules and regulations, the guidelines of the law, they are not allowed to do that. So I wonder what they're talking about.
I don't know.
I don't think there's a way to stop it ever going forward. We're in a technological era. We are in a thought riot era. But we can prevent it. We can start transitioning and evolving our laws for unfair character assassination prevention, but I don't ever think we're going to stop it ever again. We are never going back to the 90s. We are never going back to the 80s, the 70s, or anything earlier than that. It's just not happening. Everything's online, and it's only going to get more online with chips in our head, with all this other stuff. You know, we're only going to be online more and more and more and more and more. So how do we make it fair? Our justice system is about being fair, right?
Yeah, it's about checks and balances. It's about getting down to the truth of what happened and holding people accountable.
Yes.
So, this is just Wikipedia reasons for framing somebody.
I gotta pee. I drank too much.
Okay.
Caffeine.
Okay. Kimmy, I did see this comment I wanted to comment on real quick. They said that he was like, he didn't get the position, right? And that he lost his TA job. Several other things were going on in his life. And he lost it. Okay. Yeah, I've seen that said. But I want to know, not by one of these paid criminal psychologists on the news, by someone more genuine, is that usually part of what's going on with somebody who has these impulses? Okay, say that whole narrative is true, is that he was studying criminology to learn about himself and to possibly study how to get away with crimes, and he had all of these things he was trying to do, and everything in his life was falling apart, and he's had these urges all this long, and then because things are falling apart, I mean, things have fallen apart in his life before. He was an addict. So why didn't he just go use drugs? Like, why? Because, like, that's what addicts usually do. They'll just go get high when everything falls apart, not go murder people. So that, I don't know. I just wonder. I wonder, is that typical? Are there other serial killers whose lives were falling apart, and then gave in to their urges because their life was falling apart? Because in my head, it doesn't sound very serial killer to me. It doesn't seem to make sense to me. Usually serial killers are like very methodical and controlled in a lot of ways. Like, think Rex Heuermann, having this family man with a successful job, or, you know, being very charismatic. Brian is literally none of those things. He's a drug addict who got his stuff together and went to go get a PhD in criminology and wanted to work with police. Like, I'm not saying criminologists can't be murderers, because there are criminologists who are murderers, like BTK and Golden State Killer.
Yeah.
But I just wonder.
To be fair, Brian's background wouldn't surprise me for him being a killer, but he is not an incel type killer.
I don't think so either.
If he was a killer, it's because of his overwhelming need for control, like the OCD habits. Like, maybe in situations everything needs to go his way. That's why he didn't have a girlfriend. I don't know, but that is the angle they should have leaned on if they're going to character assassinate, because the incel theory does not work.
I don't think it does either.
It does not work. It doesn't line up. It doesn't match up.
I wonder why two of the victims' families reserved the right to file a tort claim. So they reserve the right to be able to sue the government? What is that, in case Brian Koberger gets off? I wonder which families it was.
Maybe.
Yeah, it is tough when judges aren't with the times.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into.
Oh, but I was gonna read this real quick. It says reasons for framing somebody. It may be done out of sheer malice. Framing is primarily used as a distraction. Generally, the person who's framing someone else is the actual perpetrator. In other cases, it is attempted by law enforcement to get around due process. Motives include getting rid of political dissidents or correcting what they see as the court's mistake. Some try to claim, okay, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. That's so ridiculous that you can Wikipedia for reasons for framing someone.
It says some frame-ups may use conspiracy theories to hide the true crimes of the accused.
Whoa,
yeah.
dude.
Whoa.
So,
but yeah, that makes sense.
I go back to that people come from a place where they believe they're doing the right thing. I'm telling you, I encounter a lot of people with my job, a lot of people. And it's terrifying that most people come from the angle that they believe they're doing a good thing, that they're doing the right thing, that they're positively impacting society. It's terrifying because those are the hardest habits, behaviors, and things to change in anybody is when they believe they're doing the right thing. And most people believe they're doing the right thing, in my experience, at least. In my experience. Obviously, everyone's experience is different. And that's also coming from somebody that is, obsessively optimistic in everything I do. So.
Okay, so they can call his family through their attorney. I guess reserve the right to the tort claim.
Yeah, good Clovis. Okay, so Ann Taylor, what are some of the theories that she is dirty? Let's go into those because we broke her down, her past, her background. We're using all verifiable information that can be easily Googled to back any of the things that we're saying. Now, what are some of the things that people are saying that she is the double agent? Like, what is some of that evidence? Let's talk about that.
She went to the University of Idaho to get her PhD, and I could not find her in a sorority. I could not.
Okay.
But they claim she was in a sorority, and she has some personal connection to the victims because of that. So she's biased because she was a student there in a sorority just like they were, and she's got some kind of bias there. Also, that she's paid by the state, like that matters, but
no, it doesn't matter. I mean, defense attorneys are more like subcontractors than anything. They have their own office. They aren't held accountable like a state's prosecutor is. It is a very different situation. But if I'm being honest, do I think that exactly, freedom. I'm not going to put it up on the screen just because it has that word in it. But World War II, they absolutely believed they were doing the right thing, and that was one of the most evil things that have ever happened. And they thought they were doing the right thing. And it's terrifying. It is terrifying. Just because most people that do these things believe they're doing the right thing doesn't make them right. It doesn't make them okay. It doesn't make it anything other than trying to understand from an outsider's perspective of why somebody would do this. Because when we're an outsider looking in, it's so easy to be like, oh, look at that bad guy setting that criminal up. He's manipulating things. He's doing this. He's trampling all over the law. in his head, he thinks he is helping the law and helping society. And that's why it's so hard to pin down and identify these things. Really, it really is.
Exactly. The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so going back to Ann Taylor. Her being in a sorority, is that concerning? Absolutely. Based off of our recent sorority Greek Sigma Chi information, the statistical evidence around the partying, the drug use, the fact that 45% of fraternity members leave college years with an addiction to alcohol or drugs. Yeah, it's very concerning. The fact that sorority girls are 6 times more likely to be assaulted. It's super concerning. The fact that fraternity men are 300% or 3 times more likely to assault somebody. Yeah, it's really concerning.
I mean,
knowing that she was a part of an institution, essentially a group of people, a society that harnesses this type of belief and way of living and everything. Yes, it's concerning, but does it mean that you can get out of there, your frontal lobe finishes developing, and you see life the right way? Not from a Greek life perspective, I mean. She went to school to be a lawyer.
Yeah, and she went to Idaho State University almost all of her college education. She only went to University of Idaho
for her
doctorate, which I think it gives weight to that she wouldn't have been in a sorority. Normally, when you go to a college and you get in a sorority, you start that in your freshman year.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so there's Greek life in what is the other college?
Idaho State.
Yep. There's Greek life there too, though. So more than likely, the fraternities and sororities are there in the same way that they're at U of I.
Yeah.
So either way, is it a red flag? Yes, but dude,
we have no confirmation of
everybody has red flags on them. Everybody. You guys could look at me and, you could probably name 5 of my red flags just right off the top of your head. Just some really weird things that you've seen me do. Everybody has them. It's just part of being a human. It doesn't mean that you're bought and paid for and you're willing to stomp all over the rights of the U.S. citizens and your defendant to set up a system where the state gets to decide who's guilty or not. That idea just sounds absurd to me, with no beneficiary. And that's my big explanation why I don't think this could be possible, because where's the benefit? Their jails are full, like to the brim, dude. Their prisons are full to the brim.
Yeah.
Where's the benefit in having a mole in the defendant's office so they could pick and choose like who's guilty? You get enough guilty people by just having an honest conviction.
True. But I think they want to always I just see them doing it the laziest way possible most of the time and cheapest that they can.
Okay. So coming at it from a monetary perspective, that the state thinks maybe it could be cheaper if we had somebody in the defense so that things went the way we wanted them to.
Yeah.
If that were the case, would we have seen the grand jury?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, because the grand jury is the cheapest, easiest way.
I mean, it's not
It's
when you have a guaranteed pre-trial.
You can indict a ham sandwich. That's the saying in law school. Like, it is the easiest way to get an indictment and the laziest.
Yeah, but we're coming from the perspective that Ann Taylor's bought and paid for.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean she can appear that way.
No, but what do you mean? If you're bought and paid for, you make sure the prosecution gets their conviction.
Yeah, but she's also everybody is looking at this case. So if she appears like she's not fighting hard, then people will know.
No,
And
I
call
don't
it
agree
out.
with that. I don't think so.
People are already calling her out, and I think she is fighting hard.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think people are going to call her out no matter what. It doesn't matter what the reason's for.
I don't know.
I don't think there's any way around that.
I think we would have saw the secret grand jury no matter what.
I don't feel like it.
Because it's not up to a judge. It's not up to anybody. It's up to the prosecutor and the grand jury.
Yeah, okay, but the thing is, with the grand jury, that is an element of surprise. When pre-trial, if you have somebody bought and paid for, that's the defense, that's a guarantee.
I guess.
I feel like the grand jury is a flip of a coin. There is no way Bill knew unless there's something really shady going on here. There's no way Bill could go in a grand jury and know that they're all going to vote with him.
Yeah.
That's a big gamble.
It is. You're right. Unless the evidence is doctored, because that's part of the conspiracy too, is that the evidence is doctored and she's in on all of it.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that grand jury doesn't make sense, because that's the only way to do it if your defense attorney is bought and paid for, is that the evidence is doctored and she is constantly going to be slipping and tripping in rabbit holes. Oh, oops. We didn't know they were going to, use it in this way. Oh, oops. We didn't know that this was going to happen. That is a guaranteed win.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what our whole grand jury video was about. You're right, Ian, is that they almost always side with the prosecution. So it's not really like a coin toss. They literally like always side with the prosecution.
No. So it's not a standalone coin toss, but when you're comparing it with a bought and paid for defense attorney, it absolutely is more of a gamble than the defense attorney. I think you're thinking that if there was some kind of mole in the defense office, like, we see things that are being done in this case now that are shady, that are not true. And again, it could be honest mistakes. I get that. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy or anything. To think that a bought and paid for defense attorney couldn't come out and just flunk the case, they wouldn't have to put on an act for anybody. I think that they would make it look like they were doing the defense things, just the normal process, the defense things, but make sure the prosecution sells their case.
I saw Kimmy say that a grand jury is required in Idaho with a DP case.
Mm-hmm.
When I was listening to that lawyer, it didn't sound like that. I'd have to look up the laws on it, but it sounded like that's just what typically happens. That's what almost always happens, not that it was required, that's just how it always happens in Idaho. Yeah, people are thinking that, J. Ray. People are totally thinking that BK is framed, Ann Taylor is in on it with Bill Thompson, and that everyone is working against him.
Yeah, that's what sparked our video tonight. Were those concerns that we're talking about, that Ann Taylor is a mole, you know? I don't think so, personally. I think that defense attorneys are a special breed of our legal system that should have the best interest of the law and the defendant in any situation, and make sure that their rights aren't being trampled on. I try really hard to give defense attorneys the benefit of the doubt in any situation until I see real evidence that they're doing something shady. With Ann Taylor, I have not seen that. I have not seen that.
I haven't either. And based off of here, do you want to pull up that link?
Okay. What link?
From the email?
What?
Just her background.
This?
Yep. So this was
that's the thing we used.
This was the law office that she was partnered to, as you see, Taylor right here.
Yeah, isn't this what we used in the video, or no?
I haven't.
I
don't.
did.
I'm not sure. But it talks about her legal career beginning in the prosecutor's office in Bannock County, Idaho. Which it's funny because I heard Bob Mata say he almost never sees defense lawyers become prosecutors, but he often sees prosecutors become defense lawyers.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what Ann Taylor did.
Yep.
I believe she was there for like 5 years. And then it said she had the opportunity to return to Northern Idaho in 1999 and began a 5-year period of employment with the Kootenai County Prosecutor's Office. Okay, so she spent 10 years in being a prosecutor then, right?
Yep.
Well, I don't know, because it doesn't say the year.
Listen, her whole background,
it's a little
she's
less.
going to become a judge. That was her goal. That was everything. That is the only reason you go through the training that you went through, is with the intent of becoming a judge. That is her goal.
Idaho State University in 1994, bachelor's degree, master's degree at Idaho State University in 1996, and then she did the University of Idaho College of Law, getting her doctorate in 1998. So that means that she only worked at the prosecutor's office in Bannock County for like a year, maybe. So it's a little over 5 years in the prosecutor's office. Yeah, there you go. That's much better. She then switched sides and took a position with the Kootenai County Public Defender's Office. During her years as a public defender, she had the opportunity to represent many people charged with crimes in 2012 and decided to venture into private practice. She opened her own office in southeastern Idaho and established a successful practice. However, her love of northern Idaho and her children and grandchildren brought her back to Coeur d'Alene in 2014. In 2014, Ann Taylor Law merged with Anderson, Palmer, George, and Walsh. So she had her own private practice. Then she partnered. And dude, private attorneys make so much more money.
Oh yeah, way more. So I always feel weird giving people's income. So I'll say her position and the attorneys in her office, annual salary is between $150 and $200. That is not much when it comes to an attorney. That is on the way low end.
That's not how much she's making in the BK case right now.
I understand that.
She has over 17 years of experience with criminal law, with 6 years spent in the prosecutor's office and the next 11 years providing criminal defense, and has experience in defending people. Okay. But after all this, okay, After all of this, when she partnered with them, she then goes back to being a public defender.
Yeah.
Now she became the chief public defender.
She's going to become a judge, dude. That's her goal.
Yeah.
We can see that clear as day.
Okay. Well then do you, cuz she seemed super passionate in everything she talked about with being a like a public defender. Like all of her statements regarding it sounded genuine. They
Yeah.
sounded like she was doing it because she cared.
Yeah.
And that's what it sounds like to me. But so you don't think so? You think it's because she wants to be a judge?
But those things can coexist at the same time. I don't think that it has to be one or the other. I think that she can be going to become a judge, and that is her goal, and that's why she got her doctorate. That's why she put in time as a prosecutor. That's why she put in time as a defense attorney. That's why she put in time owning her own practice. So she has a full understanding of the legal system and the law from every area. Now, if I were looking for somebody that needed to fill a judge's position, wouldn't you want somebody that has great experience from all sides of the law? I do. And a doctorate, I mean, ding, 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 you got everything. And I can't see any other reason for doing all those things. So that I'm making an educated guess here saying that, but I believe that is what is going on here. That's her goal. Now, one thing that is strange, I got to be honest with you, is this dang area, man. The Coeur d'Alene area has some wacky stuff, dude.
Doesn't mean everyone there's wacky, though.
I know. I get it. But it's some wacky stuff.
Yeah, she makes $200 an hour working for BK. She is getting paid more for that case specifically.
Double.
Yeah.
Literally double. She's for a whole year on that case, her total income will end up being like 470,000 or something like that.
Yeah, but she was partnered with a law office, Mike. That you may be right with most attorneys, but she's not just any attorney. She's a good one, according to everything I've read. And
she's a name.
She partnered, which is with
not just partner. She was a name partner.
Yes, with an established practice that was already had a name for itself. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I would have to compare the income or something. I don't know, but I don't know if we have any way to figuring that out.
Well, I think what Mike is saying is that when you're private, it's not as dependable as a defense attorney or a prosecutor. So that those are essentially salaried positions. But when you're a private attorney, you are not salaried. You're essentially your own boss unless you're working under somebody else's umbrella. Now, of course, they could offer you a salary, but you're not going to get as much until you are a partner or a name partner, which you got to pay your dues to be able to do, and all those things come into play. So I understand what you're saying, Mike. I completely get it. But I don't think that applied to her. She skipped a whole bunch of steps.
Okay, so Kimmy sent me some stuff on the grand jury. Here, do you want to pull it up real quick? Or no?
What is it?
Well, I mean, we can do it after this.
Yeah,
we'll do it after this. We'll talk about the grand jury here in a minute. We're just talking about Ann Taylor, and I mean that is kind of a part of what we're talking about. But
yeah. The Coeur d'Alene area is strange, you guys, and
I'll send it though.
There's just some really strange things. So, going back to Anne, I think there's less likely that she could be in cahoots with the judge and prosecution than there is of a police officer doing something corrupt in this case. I just don't see that very likely. Like, you guys understand that in order for her to be in cahoots, you guys remember those two hearings where Bill literally threw up his hands like out of anger because they were arguing and bickering back and forth and taking snaps at each other, and the judge is like, hey, we all need to get along here. They would have to fake that? What? That's just strange. I don't think that's likely. I don't think that's likely.
You don't think what's likely? Can you say it again for me?
That they were acting during the court hearing, that they're bickering and fighting, and judge is like, hey, we all need to get along, and Bill's throwing up his angry hands like, judge, there isn't anything, and he's like flying. I just, that was genuine, that was authentic. I couldn't, Judge couldn't be more uncomfortable. He was filled with anxiety and super uncomfortable, and like, he got cracks in his voice, even was like, hey guys, let's calm down, we're here in good faith.
Yeah, he was flustered for sure.
Oh, he did not handle that very well, which again goes back, I know we're not on Judge, I get it, but it goes back to, is Judge capable to slam that gavel when he needs to? I get it. That's a side topic.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that he can, though. I'm not sure. So far from what I'm seeing from Judge, he seems like a little bit, he just seems too nice.
Yeah. He seems too nice to be with someone like Bill. To have to be the judge for someone like Bill.
Yeah.
Bill's in his senile era, you guys.
Oh, gosh.
I'm not being mean. Everybody in life gets to a certain age where they're allowed to do and say whatever they want. That's the senile era. And Bill is there.
You know what I think's interesting in that 48 hours?
His Depends era.
Did you see that part of the Court TV special where, what's her name again? The reporter that's always like outside the courthouse with Court TV. I forget her name. She sat down with Bill early on in the case and was asking him questions. And she said, if you had a student going to school here, would you feel safe them being like on the campus?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, absolutely. And she was like, and he was like, but that's because we know things. He's like, I know things. Basically, it's like, I know things that you don't know. I understand why people feel that way, but I know things. So yes, I feel safe.
I mean, that's what they all say.
He knows things.
Everyone says they know things.
That was pre BK.
Like
that was pre Cobra.
All of our viewers know things. I don't know anything. I am a collective of thoughts of our viewers.
You talk a lot for somebody who doesn't know anything.
I'm not real.
You're a projection.
I'm AI, and every person that logs in here, they're giving their collective internet consciousness over to me, and I am just a collection of those thoughts.
Yes, Chanley Painter. That's right. That's the reporter.
Tomatoes, yes.
Yes. Violetta's always the one.
For.
She's always the one throwing them at you, too.
Because they're such a good they're such a good emote, man.
I gotta make the cream pie. I think it was Anne that suggested the cream pie emote. I need to make it soon. Yes, he's a deep fake.
I am. But Malia's not.
Yeah.
She's just talking to nobody.
Yeah, he had to have known about BK at that point. He had to have. Yeah. There's no way he didn't. We just didn't know about it yet. But back on Ann Taylor, I just, it's hard for me to even think about a situation where she would be corrupt in that way.
That's just asking a lot, I feel like. I feel like that's asking a lot. And
do you think she thinks Brian's guilty? Because that's the other thing that's mentioned is that she believes that Brian is guilty.
Does
and that's
that
why
matter?
And that's why she's not fighting hard, and that's why she's also trying to go at it from like technicalities.
Do you think that matters?
No.
I don't know if that matters for specific types of people. Like, if I was an attorney, I know for a fact that that would not change how I would do my job. It would not. To me, it would not matter if they were guilty or not. And I would probably specifically say in the beginning, like, do not tell me if you're guilty or you're innocent. We are going to offer you the best service we can give you.
The cream pie was super innocent. It's like throwing a cream pie in somebody's face. Like whipped cream in a pie crust.
So, yeah, I just don't think I just don't think that's likely. I don't think that's possible.
Hey, Amanda. Hope you're feeling better. Just better than you were before. And I'm glad you're here.
Ian, I don't see Anne doing anything wrong. I don't think there's been anything wrong here. I think one good thing to point out and one good thing to pay attention to is this has brought so much attention. It's brought more attention than the normal true crime attention. It is bringing people to true crime that have never been to true crime ever before, ever, okay? And I don't think people understand how the court hearings work. I wonder how many people, if you ask them, hey, can you tell me where they're at in their court process now versus the actual case, the trial? You know, I wonder how many people would know that or not and understand the differences. Now, in saying that, I have also heard actual attorneys come forward and say, because of those details and because of where they're at in the discovery phase, this is how I'm able to tell that Ann Taylor is dirty, or this is how I'm able to tell that Ann Taylor is not fighting for Brian Koberger, is because of certain stipulations around asking for discovery and the approach and everything like that, because everything in court is transparent. One thing to remember always, you guys, is in court, there are no surprises. There will never, ever, 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 ever be a time like you see in movies where the prosecution or the defense out of nowhere is like, yes, judge, I need to call my last witness. And then the prosecution is like, oh, I didn't know they were here. You know what I mean? Something dramatic like that doesn't happen. That does not happen. You cannot bring in evidence that both sides don't have and know.
Yeah.
So for me, that again does not prove that she's working with the defense because she's having to follow the rules and regulations of transparency and good faith. That does not mean that she is siding with the prosecution.
Yeah, that's what was asked, is what about the commonalities between the prosecution and the defense? That Steve mentioned. Before I get to that, hello, Art of Deduction.
Hey,
he's another creator. Check him out, guys. He's pretty awesome. Hi, Plumber. Saw you hop on too, and I'm glad you're feeling better, Amanda.
What would Ann Taylor do?
Yeah, she's
That's super
like
funny.
Jesus. Anyway, the commonalities. So from what I see, when they've been on the same page, it's been the gag order, which pretty much everybody doesn't like on both sides, is the gag order. And tearing down the home. What else? Tearing down the home, gag order. What else have they been on the same page about?
I'm thinking. Hang on. Tearing down the home, gag order. Help us out, guys. So tearing down the home and gag order. I'll just start with
no cameras.
Yeah, no camera. So all of those things I think can help the defense, though, the defendant, all of them. I think that, myself included, you guys, I'm not pointing fingers here. Like, I'm sharing my finger that I'm pointing at me, you know? So don't take it the wrong way. But when I'm looking at this case, I know that I'm looking at this case like this. I know that. I am not an attorney. I am not a lawyer. I try really hard to learn and gather information the best that I can from a dummy's perspective, you know, the handbook for dummies on court and all things law, anything out there in the world. I try really hard to look at everything from that perspective. But that's also an understanding that I'm looking at these things like through a keyhole. I can't know everything because this isn't my expertise, right? So when I'm looking at these things, I have to come up with ideas and possibilities and theories of why the defense could be angling their approach in this manner without having all the experience that Ann Taylor has. And I don't think it's something most people will be able to figure out, myself included. So to judge the approach that she's taking without understanding what that conclusion is, and understanding they're working on a 3D chessboard here, I just have a hard time judging her for that. I have a hard time. I don't feel like it's right. I feel like and know that I'm missing something.
Well, I think that there's reasons that are different reasons that they both agree on those things. The cameras, I think that her argument against the cameras was honest. She was tired of the character assassination that BK was experiencing, and like his fly, you know, things like that. I think she was tired of seeing that and felt like it was slanting the jury pool. And I think Bill Thompson not wanting cameras is he doesn't want people looking at Dylan on the stand. He doesn't want people hearing Bethany on the stand. You know, he doesn't want those things out.
I don't think that's why.
Why do you think he doesn't want cameras? He doesn't want exposed. I mean, it's one of those two, I think.
I've got to be honest here. I do not think, as much as the prosecution wants everybody in the world to believe that they are here for those victims and those two remaining roommates and their best interest, I do not agree with that. I think the prosecution has one goal, and that goal is to convict Brian. And I think you can see that in every single interview, every single statement, every single angle that they're playing into court, every single approach at manipulating the discovery and not handing it over. I think you can see that in all of it. They're playing super dirty. They're playing a very serious game at the highest level possible, and they're doing a good job at it. For anybody to say the prosecution isn't doing a good job, I think they're losing it. They're doing too good of a job to where it feels not honest. But I think that the reason why he doesn't want them in there, because he's been handed a giant plate of doo-doo, and it is his job to make it shine and make it work. And eyewitnesses are traditionally not reliable. They are one of the most unreliable piece of evidence that you could bring into a case. You have no idea what the defense is going to ask them. You have no control over their responses. You have no control over their emotions. You have no control over any of that. It is like letting an animal go that is not house trained and hasn't gone through any training whatsoever. Bill has no idea what direction those interviews are going to go. And I do not think he wants that out there, because I do think that it could hurt the prosecution. I do not think the police have done an incredible job in the investigation. But to be fair, maybe there isn't much they had, because whoever did this really was good at not leaving anything. I don't know. But I do know that right now what we have is a super weak case.
Yeah.
A super weak case.
Exactly, CH, exactly. I want to address this real quick. We haven't made anything up on this channel. And coming in here with a Rosicrucian or whatever, however you say it, that isn't going to make anybody trust what you're saying. That's a fraternity, right?
No.
It is.
Is it?
Yes, it
Okay.
absolutely is. It's a section. It's like a section of Freemasonry or something. But we do think that if there's supporting evidence behind the evidence in the probable cause affidavit, that Brian could be guilty. But with what's presented in the probable cause affidavit, we've poked holes in every single one of their main hard-hitting evidence in that probable cause affidavit. There's holes in it. And anybody with an inquiring mind who, you know, will do research, will look into it, will see those holes. And that's terrifying, because if Brian's the killer, they need a lot more supporting that evidence than what they have. Not Officer Payne calling an FBI agent and doing his own cell tower triangulation. Not hiding their DNA evidence and then trying to convict somebody on it.
Yeah. I'm not going to respond to it. Everyone that's in here knows that I feel like we do a very good job about being unbiased and staying objective. And, you know, if we hopped on here and we're like, hey, Brian Koberger is guilty, let me tell you why. What a crappy show that would be. I want to be able to think deeply about theory and the possibilities of a case from all directions. I do not think that it would be good information and a good show to hop on here and say the only option is this, you know. I think that we need to share both sides equally in order to theorize and chop it up and grow and learn and figure these things out. So I don't, it doesn't bother me as long as everyone's being kind to each other. That's the only thing that matters. I don't care what. It doesn't matter. You guys can think that, you know, it is what it is. I am whatever you say I am.
Yep, exactly.
But yeah, I just have a hard time, because the one thing is defense attorneys are doing a really uncomfortable job a lot of times.
I just want to say we also have a lot of people here that believe Brian's guilty. Like, we absolutely accept opinions from every side.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like the whole point of the channel.
Yeah. Did I say something that made it sound like I was one way or the other?
No.
Oh.
I just want to say that because I think people need to be reminded we're not trying to come on here and tell you what it is. We're here to listen to your opinions, not even give ours a lot of times. A lot of times when we discuss theory, it doesn't mean we believe it. It means we're just talking about what's going on in the community, what people are talking about, where we see flaws, where we see possibilities. That's it.
Yeah. So you know what's super funny?
I've read that PCA like 10 times.
We've had content creators come out on our videos, and if you guys watch the fraternity, the 4chan theory videos, I personally don't give my opinion, and people hate this. They hate it so much, but I don't give my opinion in those videos, you guys. All I do is give facts and statistical evidence and probabilities around these ideas. And then it's funny because people will comment and come at me like hard that, how could you do this? How could you do that? I can't believe you're coming after these fraternities. And I'll always respond with, you know, that's really interesting because I did not ever say my opinion was that, but the fact that you're coming to that conclusion tells me everything. So it is a total gaslight, but it's true.
Yeah, it is.
Because it's just funny. I think when we put out content, it's like people just assume that is 100% what we believe in, but we've covered theories that are contradicting.
You know, another channel that is amazing that I love watching personally, it's not true crime, but it's the Y-Files with the talking fish. He talks about conspiracy theories and gives real facts and evidence, but he doesn't believe in most of them. He just explores the idea of the possibility. And it's incredible from a science perspective.
That's what we do.
It's amazing.
He's more science than we are. We're more conversation. But there is a very interesting element there when you take the probabilities of these theories that people call conspiracy and don't like to talk about, and you start adding scientific data and facts and statistics into it. I love it, and most of our viewers love it, really, you know, because it's fun to think about these things, and it's serious too. Some of these theories are very serious. So is there any statistical probability of these things being real? Like, what is that? You know, can this happen? Is it scientifically possible to happen?
Yeah. And I never said, I mean, I think what Rosie's doing is making the assumption that we believe Brian's innocent to try to come in here and prove that he's not. And that's just not the case. But we'll move on from that. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. All right. Did you want to bring up the grand jury thing? Because I think that's interesting.
We can. The grand jury is a major issue of mine, so I'm down to talk about it whenever. One of the most important things to me is that Hecklefish, that's what it is.
I love Hecklefish.
Yes.
Hecklefish is my guy.
One of the most important things to me is our rights and our freedoms and our justice system being fair. And the grand jury is anything but that. Literally anything but that. So, in my opinion, look, let's go from the angle that Brian Kohberger is guilty. Let's go from the angle that Brian Kohberger stalked these girls, was controlling, was doing weird, creepy stuff, and then he entered this night and he ended them all. Okay, so coming from that angle, in my opinion, it is even more important that they do things the right way, because I do not ever want somebody like that out on my streets in the US. I don't want them in my societies. I don't want them in my neighborhoods or anywhere I'm driving. I don't want them around any family members. I don't want them around any friends. I don't want them around any of our viewers. They need to be gone. They need to be locked up. And the only way to guarantee that's going to happen is an honest, transparent, good faith investigation into him. Because if if you get the conviction when all the cameras are on and it doesn't stick, we're still in the same problem as before. Where sure, it looks good, you got the conviction when all the cameras are on, but if it's just going to get turned over in a retrial, what's the point? Just for show? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you know what I thought was interesting with the grand jury though is that it seems like you have one of two options from what I was reading in this, which does this say Idaho specifically? It just says it doesn't seem like it's Idaho specific.
It's just Death Penalty Information Center.
Okay, so you have your arrest,
Okay.
arraignment, preliminary hearing, and it says if sufficient evidence exists, the case will be bound over for a grand jury review,
Okay.
or an information will be filed in the trial court. What's an information? That doesn't sound official to me, but maybe I'm just
that's a cream pie.
maybe I just am ignorant to that terminology. I don't know. So then it talks about the grand jury, but that's interesting. So they skipped the preliminary hearing and went straight to a grand jury. That isn't a must, but it sounds like you can either just skip to the grand jury or you can do the preliminary hearing and then have the grand jury review the evidence.
Okay.
So you can't have a preliminary hearing without a grand jury, but you can have a grand jury without a preliminary hearing, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm reading. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. Is that Idaho specific though?
I don't know.
I'm just wondering if it's different specifically in Idaho or if that's just how it is across the country.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But that is interesting. I didn't know that even when I was looking into the grand jury system. I didn't realize that you could have the grand jury with the preliminary hearing or without.
Yeah. I assume so. I mean, clearly they didn't have a preliminary hearing here.
No, it's either a preliminary hearing or a grand jury for indictment.
Yeah, but you can have the preliminary hearing before the grand jury.
It says that,
or you can just skip the prelim and go to grand jury, which is what happened here, so that the prelim didn't have to call Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen. That's what people are theorizing.
So they could have still had the preliminary hearing.
Correct.
And if they found there was sufficient evidence, they would take that sufficient evidence and have a grand jury review, is what it says. Exactly. That's what it says.
And that's what we were talking about when we were saying that when the defense brought up their concern with the grand jury. Okay, you guys remember that just a week or two ago? And that's when Judge was like, look, it's an interesting argument. I'll give you that. I'm not the right person for this, but I'm going to be interested in having your back as you take it up to wherever, right? One thing that I feel like could have been done was that he could have said, okay, you know what? The grand jury has been convened. It is what it is, whatever. We could go back to a prelim. Now, that would piss off the prosecution, though. There would be somebody unhappy in that situation, no matter what direction they went. But what makes me feel like I wish he would have done that is the fact that there's a written law and a working law. And I understand that the working law is the law for how it's been managed and judged and handled for the cases before it. But does that make it right? Just because other cases have done it like that doesn't make me feel comfortable that things are being done right.
Yeah.
So I was hoping that Judge would have been like, look, I don't know if I'm bought in on this. I can tell you why that I can't throw the grand jury out. But one thing I can do is allow it to go back to prelim. And I don't even know if that's real. I don't know if that's possible. But I feel like when you're dealing with a crime that has this many eyes on it, you've got to be able to show that you're fighting for the people's rights in this. And that's why I was hoping we'd be able to see him come forward and say, look, we will go back to a pretrial, because I think that, yes, that written law is important for the people. What?
Kimmy was just telling me 3 paragraphs down that there was. Oh, and information is defined 3 paragraphs down. Okay, information. A formal criminal charge filed by a prosecutor without the aid of the grand jury. The information is used for the prosecution of misdemeanors in almost all states, many of which allow for its use for felony prosecutions as well. Okay,
Yeah.
good to know. Good to know. Thank you,
Yeah.
Kimmy.
Yeah. I have a lot of issues with the grand jury, man. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair in Idaho. I don't think it's fair in Idaho. California has actually done a pretty good job managing their grand jury system, and how they've created a system where their grand jury members are actually trained. So when you're a grand jury member, you're a grand jury member for a quarter, I think. So 3 months at a time. Maybe it's 9 months. I forget. Someone correct me. But you're a group of grand jurors. So when you're called to a case, you will have gone through some form of training, some form of experience, some form of looking at past cases, trials, grand juries, and seeing how they conducted themselves. So you're coming in with at least some experience in what you're doing. And I think that's incredible. I think that is very beneficial. I think that that's done in a more fair way, because when you have those people that are trained, you're not presenting a case where you need the prosecution to come forward and walk them through what you want to charge the defendant with without having any representation for the defendant.
Yeah,
that's my issue.
Yeah, I think it's a very much a problem in the justice system. I think it's not really fair, you know. It's not fair. I feel like the only way to have a fair indictment is for evidence to be presented and then for it to be challenged.
Yeah. I agree with you. But yeah. So what other issues do we have on the grand jury?
What do you mean?
Well, you wanted to bring it up, so I was just curious if there was any other details about it that.
No, I think that. What is the argument I heard about Anne with the grand jury? I can't remember. There was something to it, though, that I had heard being said about her with the preliminary hearing in the grand jury.
What, that she could have prevented it in some way?
I don't know that she could have prevented it or that was even being said, but that she could have done something. I can't remember what it's called right now. If you guys know, let me know.
Yeah, it's a secret grand jury. She didn't have any say.
No, she didn't have any say.
So I don't think there's anything that could have been done that Ann Taylor could have done to prevent it. Do you remember what that one attorney was saying about the evidence that is already pre-planned by Ann Taylor? Do you remember?
No.
Okay.
Pre-planned?
Yeah, that's what he was saying. He was saying something along the lines of
do you want the video? Are you talking about that video?
Yeah, I'm not going to show anyone's content. No.
Okay.
We're a talk show.
What was he saying? Here, I can pull up that picture, actually, and that'll tell me what it was, actually. Real quick. Where did it go?
It's not worth pulling it up, I don't think. It's not a big deal.
I know, I'm just going to tell you what it was. I'm not going to pull it up, but...
Yeah, I agree that prelim should have never been scheduled 6 months out either. I agree with you. So, what is what's the other concern that hang on, I had it, that Ann Taylor, I'm drawing a blank. What was some of the what were the other concerns? So it was the camera, it was the house, and it was the what?
It was the camera, it was the house, and it was the gosh, now you got me forgetting it.
Oh my gosh.
Grand jury. Wait, no, not grand jury.
No, it wasn't.
It was the camera, it was the house, and it was, oh gosh. What was it?
Yeah.
Somebody tell us.
I don't remember. But I had it right on the tip. Oh, I got it. Okay. ADHD brain. So it what? Wait, I forgot it again. Oh, no, I got it now. So it was the speedy trial. It was the speedy trial.
No, that's not what we said earlier, but that's another one.
Yes, that is another one. Yes, that is another one. And yes, that was a prime example of an ADHD moment. That's what happens when my caffeine starts wearing off. That's why I down like 2 of these, you know? I think these have like 200 milligrams of caffeine. If I don't have enough oxygen to my brain with the type of ADHD I have, I will be stumbling all over my words and forgetting everything. But what's nice in sales is no matter who I'm in front of, you always get a little bit of butterflies because there's a big money on the line. So it usually that gets my blood going, and I can speak no problem, you know, as long as I have enough blood flow to bring the oxygen to my brain. All right, so speedy trial. You guys know that if you guys know that Brian could request Ann to be taken off.
Yeah, he could.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they would do it, though.
I mean, are you sure? If you give enough concern with your defense and they're doing things against your will, I think so.
It would take quite a bit. He can't just request that. He would have to have something backing it. For one, something like serious.
Like I didn't want to waive my speedy trial. Mm-hmm. She forced me to. Mm-hmm. I just don't see how that's an argument.
Yeah, he could totally ask her to be off the case if she was doing things that he didn't feel were to his benefit,
or what he
or
wanted.
or protecting him. Well, it can't be just what he wanted. It has to be something that goes
I think
against.
it is that simple.
Dude,
If he didn't want the speedy trial taken off the table and she forced it, that is enough. You don't go to court and have no say in your defense.
But that's what I get that. They hardly ever do that.
And
like they
that's
hardly
why
ever
he
take a
signed
lawyer
that
off the
paper
case.
and everything.
Yeah, right. But I'm just saying that hardly ever happens. Okay.
Probably because
there's that
hardly
case?
ever a defendant that is like, hey, I hate my attorney, take them off.
But there's a case going on right now, and I can't remember what it is. The lawyer has covered it a lot, of a girl who is doing that, and she's had a hard time getting her lawyer off her case.
Which case?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to look it up. If you guys remember, shout it out. But I know the lawyer has been covering it, but I think it's because she's done it twice.
Okay, that's way different, dude. Way different.
You're right, but it was hard enough getting the first one taken off, and now the second one is going to be impossible because she's being ridiculous. Yes, Sarah Boone. That is it.
That means that she successfully did it.
Right. That she's done it twice, right, guys?
So, again, I think that it's acceptable for him to be like, hey, I hate AT and Taylor, and I want her off.
Yeah.
I think that's a realistic expectation if she was doing things, coercing him, suggesting, pushing him into directions that he doesn't know. You guys got to remember, this guy is in criminology. He's a criminology student. He knows about the system, at least the bare bones of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure he knows way more than either of us do together.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does.
I just don't see that. I just don't see how that could make sense. Yeah. Because you're right. I don't remember who said it here, but someone said that the judge asked him to make a verbal statement that he wanted to waive his speedy trial. Who was it? Somebody said that. I want to give credit.
And Firefly also asked, do we feel that the prosecution forced BK's hand in making him give up his speedy trial?
Yeah, absolutely. The prosecution forced his hand. And that is the only concern is that before Brian Kohberger waived his speedy trial, there were 2 private meetings between Ann Taylor and the judge. What were they called? Culpa.
Culpa. It's not that.
Yeah, essentially it is that.
Gosh, I can't remember.
Because they were asking to meet without the prosecution present.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember what it's called right now. Gosh, ex parte.
Or ex parte, that's it. And that's what I was thinking of. So, they could have already let the judge know, hey, we're going to waive the speedy trial because we can't have our approach finalized. We can't have a good handle on this information without having the time to get it together. The prosecution was not allowing them to do that. The fact that there are still all this information out there, and the prosecution was absolutely playing games. Absolutely. Whether you think he's innocent or whether you think he's guilty, the prosecution has been doing a good job at these attorney games, man. Like, commendably good. The frustratingly good. Forcing him into waiving a speedy trial and then making it seem like with an in-court statement that they want this now to go as fast as it can possibly go. We're ready, judge. We want this done and over with. Yeah, okay. Come on. You were coming to court every day with the intention of getting this man to waive his speedy trial. And then you see with the FBI going back into the house, The FBI is not going back into that house for the defense. They'll get the information, obviously, but it's not at the request of the defense. You know?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it's
That's
definitely
what I
not.
think.
It's definitely not.
That's what I think.
Yeah, and I think criminology isn't really law, though. Like Art of Deduction made a good point. You don't need to be a criminologist to understand the system. It's a good point. And he's not going to be a lawyer. I mean, he's going to learn somewhat about the law, but not to the extent of getting a law degree.
Yeah. Does he have access to books in there? Like, could he start reading?
Oh, for sure.
What's that called? The legal encyclopedia or whatever it's called.
They usually have the little cart with like the books that they bring around to the cells that people get to pick. I bet it's a limited selection though.
Yeah.
No. He's not in prison, so he doesn't have a full library the way prisoners do.
Yeah. I was just curious because he was locked down, because he's not in Gen Pop or anything like that. He has his own cell. So I think, though, that he would have more information than we would, because being a criminology student, even when you're a police officer, you go through training courses to manage the law effectively within the legal system.
Yeah.
So you're trained on these things.
Yeah, you are. It's just not to the extent of a lawyer is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
He looks well rested, very telling.
Yeah.
That either means he's got a clear conscience or he doesn't have a conscience.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, what else can you do but lay around and sleep?
I bet he doesn't. He's an insomniac. He's probably up like scrubbing things.
Ew.
He probably hates that he doesn't have gloves in there. Do you think they give him gloves?
No.
No.
I mean, I wouldn't. That's
imagine him in there with little booties and gloves scrubbing his cell. And they do that just so that he stays complicit and like quiet. Just if you just give him some booties and some gloves and a toothbrush, he'll be good. Just
so he freaks out because he doesn't have booties and gloves. That would be so awful. But no, I wouldn't give him those. Those are freedoms things, you know, and I'm sorry you're going through this if you're innocent, but you're still going through this.
I mean, let's be honest, there's some strange things. Like, regardless of the holes that we've picked apart in the PCA and that everybody's seen, there's still like things that connect him to the crime somewhat. And those things have to be either proven or disproven. Not really. That's not really what you do in a court of law, but they have to prove it.
Yes.
And if they can't, well, then we're back at square one.
I mean, yes, in a perfect world. But with the way that the case is currently going, and that's one thing, okay? If I could criticize Ann Taylor on one thing, it's that I think the prosecution is playing really dirty with the character assassination, and I don't think that Ann Taylor is playing equally dirty.
Yeah.
I don't think Ann Taylor is playing equally dirty.
Yeah, I don't think she is either.
And she should. But that's just how I look at things, you know?
Yeah.
If someone, because look, if you're a defense attorney, you're there to make sure that your defendant gets a fair trial. So in my opinion, in my world, in my crazy brain, I would think that the fair thing to do would be to give him the same treatment for both sides, you know?
Yeah,
but
I see what you're saying.
That might go against who she is as a person.
It very well might. And from Ann Taylor's statements about why she became a public defender and stuff, I think that's very possible.
Yeah.
That she's somebody who can't be bought. She's somebody who can't, do shady things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know.
would.
I don't know for sure.
I believe in karma, and karma can be eye for an eye, depending. And if it was against me, obviously I wouldn't do it back, but because that puts karma in my favor. But like if I was defending somebody, I feel like the only option is to do it back to make it fair. If you're the defense attorney, what's more important, the right way or the fair way? That's weird when they deviate.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's kind of a weird idea to think that they deviate. The right way and the fair way are two different ways right now. Strange.
Yeah, and I hope you're right, Rosie. I really do. Like, I hope you are 100% correct.
No way, Plumbing.
That's
I
so
wouldn't doubt it,
ridiculous.
though, dude. I've known a lot of people that have done serious prison time. That's who I used to hang out with. And the things that you trade for and barter with, it is like extra toilet paper for making your smoke rings or whatever. You know that one of the dudes taught me how to they would get this tin, okay, this like mini mint tin, and they would create an ember, like there was just enough holes in it that they would get it lit. And the way that they would pack it and everything in their little tin is it would stay an ember in there so they could light their cigarettes out on the yard, and it just stayed an ember in that tin. They could close it.
That's crazy.
And everything, and it stayed semi-lit. Weird, right? It's really strange.
The only thing is that if BK took the knife across the country with him to his parents' house, then what was the point of going for that drive? If not to dispose of evidence? And also, why are they trying so hard to dig for click data?
I don't think they're looking for click data. I think they're looking for GPS data. They do not have cell phone data. No way, dude.
So that now they're trying to get that geolocation, is what you're saying.
That's what I think. I think that they're depending on the GPS geolocation blended data.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. It'll all come out in the wash. Yeah, I think you're probably right. But didn't they specifically ask for click data? Pretty positive they did.
For Amazon, yes.
Having to do with K-bars.
Yes,
Yeah.
for Amazon.
Yes.
Amazon. I don't know if Amazon is a GPS location. I think it's based off your zip code.
Oh, they absolutely do location because they have the grocery
zip code. But I don't think it's GPS location.
Oh, okay.
There's a difference between a zip code location and an actual geolocation GPS data.
Right. Like like the weather app.
Yeah. I need to look that up. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's GPS.
Yeah, I know the weather app does precise geolocating.
It does. It does. All right, I gotta go to the bathroom.
Yeah, that's true. His metadata can have location too. I know that. She's hunting the wrong evidence. The IGG was a dig site for the prosecution itself. However, I love the new mail theory. What's the mail theory? Are you talking about like mailing the sheath? So You know, one thing that I saw on JLR, which I think he posted it either today or yesterday. He had this whole video on that how the presumption of innocence is a myth. What do you guys think about that? Basically, the theory that was presented by this lawyer that he aired on his channel was that the presumption of innocence does not apply until you are in trial in the court of law. Yeah, JLR posts a lot. Yeah, and that's another argument against AT that I've been seeing, Lisa. So that's a good point. I have heard people saying they think that she is the one playing dirty by requesting all this stuff for stuff that she already has, or she knows she can't be given, doesn't exist, whatever. And she's doing it to make the prosecution look bad, make it look like it's slanted towards, just not giving Brian a fair trial. From everything I've seen, I guess it's just intuition that I feel like the prosecution is playing kind of dirty. I mean, now all of those like requests for discovery are sealed. So we don't know what they're asking for. So at this point, could it be playing dirty? Sure. In the beginning, when those weren't sealed, we saw her asking for the DNA stuff over and over and over and other things. And that whole thing did make me feel like the prosecution was playing dirty from the beginning. So I feel like there's no reason why to like assume that they're not continuing to play dirty. If you know what I mean, if that made sense. But I think it's possible that Ann Taylor could start playing dirty in that way. I'm so curious what's in those requests for discovery at this point, though. The supplemental requests. We don't get that information now. Yep, all she can do is cause reasonable doubt. Exactly. Yeah, I think she is trying everything. I truly think she is. You know, and this could totally just be Ann Taylor.
Ann Taylor's approach.
Yeah. I lost it. I started reading something. Innocent till proven guilty is absolutely a myth. If it was actually true, there would be no people in jail before trial. That's a good point.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between what ends up happening and what should happen, because technically I know I've seen people say that innocent until proven guilty isn't the way it works, but our justice system was built around that idea. So technically it is supposed to be how it works. However, with the current day's advancements in technology and everything like that, we see situations like this a lot, you know?
Mm-hmm. So that's nice, J. Ray. I'm gonna have to go watch that. Lawyer said today in a live that is 100% a misrepresentation of the law.
What is?
So I asked the chat what they thought, because JLR posted this video from this lawyer apparently saying that innocent till proven guilty is a myth. And that is the argument I saw being made, what Mike said, that it is a myth because there would be no people.
Don't agree.
There would be no people in jail before trial. And then J. Ray is saying that the lawyer said that's a misrepresentation.
What is? So he's saying that it is innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
He said they're misrepresenting it.
It's impossible for it not to be. And for this idea that because we have Brian Kohberger locked up, if the crime is heinous enough, They don't want to risk a flight risk. They don't want to risk the public's health and safety for somebody. So in this situation, are his rights technically being taken from him? Yes, but it's because the gamble of him being a sociopathic, mass murdering serial ender is not worth the risk to the rest of society.
Yeah, which is what CH was saying too. It's to protect the public.
Yeah.
It's to, I mean, which is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, we just covered a case last Friday where these two adults in Florida tried to abduct a child. Multiple attempts tried to abduct a child.
Oh my gosh, it's horrible.
And they got let out on bail. What?
Dude, that story is disturbing.
It is awful. Not only that, it's not only that they tried to abduct a child, but they also threatened to end the entire family.
Well, Tennessee, unless you're Richard Allen, then you go to prison before convicted. So ridiculous.
Yeah. So I see the argument for me to pretend like I don't see the argument that innocent until proven guilty isn't the case. I see the argument. I get it. I understand where everyone's coming from, but our justice system was built around that idea. So
Yeah.
we do try and stick to that idea of innocent until proven guilty, but there are absolutely one-off situations.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, no suits for Richard Allen, man.
No
suits, and he's in prison.
I know. It's kind of messed up.
It's super messed up.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That whole case, we don't have to get into Delphi right now, but that whole case really drives me nuts.
Yeah. Dude, Mike, I agree with you. But that's where the difference in justice system and freedom of speech and the right to media separate, because I agree with you. And I think that defamation can't land. Like, if you look at the statistics around defamation cases actually landing, it is so low, dude.
It's rare. It's really hard to prove it.
And the ones that do land are usually the ones that settle.
Yep.
So I agree that shouldn't be happening, but because our justice system and freedom of speech and right to media deviate, it happens.
Exactly. No, there is no one else to take the primary lead. You're absolutely right. There isn't, unless they get someone from Boise. But I have a question for you.
What?
Because Kimmy said that, Richard Allen is constantly surrounded by officers and in shackles. Now, I did hear in the recent interview with Brian Inton, the Gonzalez family, Christy specifically, saying that they were really upset that Brian was in suits looking like a lawyer or, whatever. I can't remember exactly. And that he wasn't in shackles and that he wasn't being detained the way people normally are or what they would expect people to be. That he's able to strut in and strut out. And, they were really bothered by that.
I mean, he's wearing the who's the king of serial enders? I'm having a blank.
Yeah, they want him to look like Richard Allen. They do. That's what they want. Which I can understand it from their emotional perspective. I totally get it. I have no qualms with them. As parents, they're grieving and, they see this guy and he is accused of, killing their child. Like, I would feel the same exact way. I'm sure.
Ted Bundy. So, Brian is restrained, but he hasn't been convicted yet. He is innocent until proven guilty, so he gets to wear regular clothing. and he is wearing a Ted Bundy.
It's the leg brace.
Yep, the Ted Bundy leg brace that was created for Bundy.
Yeah, for sure, because he doesn't walk right. Is that what I search? Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's different.
No.
It's not?
No. That's it.
Oh, that is it. You're right.
Yep.
Ugh, gosh dang. That's it right there. Those little thingy majiggers. It reminds me of Forrest Gump.
Yep. And if you try, they have these updated ones, you guys, that are controlled. So if you try and run, they go and hold your leg out straight. So you're running without being able to bend your knee.
Violetta said it was actually BTK that it was created for.
Who came first? Because Bundy was
Bundy
first.
came
first. Yeah, it was for Bundy.
Ted Bundy was an escape artist.
Yeah. The guy, so Ted Bundy was awaiting being put to death. And the only way they would take him out of his cell is once they threw this leg brace in there and made him strap it on and put it on. Otherwise, they literally wouldn't open the door for him. They had a special holding cell welded shut.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Because Ted Bundy slipped through a light fixture.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He slipped through a light fixture in one of the jails, and that jail had jailer apartments above it that you could rent through the jail, and he popped out in one of those apartments and took off.
CH said he's also wearing a taser belt.
Probably.
I didn't know that.
Me neither.
That's interesting.
Me neither.
So he's got a taser belt on and these leg braces. He ain't going nowhere.
No, you're not blocked, Brian.
No, you're not blocked. Did you say something that we missed?
Yeah, because we have more people, we'll talk for a while, and then we'll go to the chat, and then we'll talk for a while, and then go to the chat. So that could be no, you aren't blocked. That could be it. But who Ted Bundy was? Yes, he absolutely was a magician for real. He got away so often. And it's wild. Let me see if I can find the Ted Bundy leg brace that I think he was a sheriff. Ted Bundy. Actually, let me do. Never know what these search results will pop up. Ted Bundy anti-escape leg brace. I don't see a picture of it. If you watch the there's a documentary around the guy who ultimately ended up catching Bundy and housing him up until his death sentence. And that guy talks about the creation of the leg brace and how this one time he came up to Ted Bundy's cell and was like, because Ted Bundy would always mess with him. His name was Ken, and he would always like manipulate his name to make it sound silly, feminine, whatever. And this guy one day was like, "Hey, Ted, I know what your problem is. It's your mom. you've had issues with your mom ever since a child, and you have abandonment issues. And he said Ted Bundy freaked out, and his whole cell was welded shut, and he had a shower rod that was welded on the wall, and Ted Bundy grabbed that shower rod and ripped the weldings off with both hands. Crazy. Ted Bundy was a determined guy, very determined guy. And if you look at his body language, it's always confident, composed, put together, cool, calm, and collect. A true textbook definition sociopath, psychopath. Scary stuff, man. That's how they ended up catching him, his teeth. Because remember, they didn't have DNA and all that stuff back then. That was some hard police work they had to do. And they ended up convicting him because he bit two of the women. He bit two of them in when he broke into the sorority. Oh gosh, Koberger wish he could have confidence and portray himself like this. No way. You know, the news actually talked about Ted Bundy as a ladies' man. No one was claiming incel to him. Even though I think Koberger is just as attractive as Ted Bundy probably is, you know, the difference is in the way he holds himself. I think Ted Bundy really was a ladies' man. And, you know, for a long time in the first half of his serial ender career, he didn't force women into his car. He picked them up like normal, you know. You want to hang out? You want to come ride with me? Do you mind if I do an errand first? And then once they agreed, that errand turned into a horrible outcome. A horrible outcome. Brian Koberger has all the makings of, you know, what would be considered attractive. He's super tall. The only thing that'll get him is I don't think people want to be tickled on the first date. Nobody wants to be tickled. The only parallels that are between Ted and Brian Koberger is if Koberger conducted the crime, then it's a similar type of brutality. But again, even in that, one is adrenaline focused rage, and Bundy's was more torture. Bundy prolonged his endings. Now, the sorority, you know, he was literally laughing and joking and grabbing these girls and harming them in horrible ways, dude. Like awful. It was a very different approach to the crime from 1122. Yeah, good call out. Yes, he does come from that Marvin Gaye era. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think there's anything similar in the two. They're very different killers. If Brian Koberger is the one, um his crime is more related to the uh the Florida hot yoga massacre. The Florida hot yoga massacre is a rage-filled control freak that needed everything in the world to go his way, otherwise he would ruin it. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. There's still some very big differences, but there is in any case. There is in any case. Um, I just well, but Bundy's again, his very first ending with well, the first one wasn't an ending. It the first one on file wasn't. Um, it was still very different. I think the motive is different. So if Brian Koberger is guilty of this crime, their motive is different. In my opinion. Because Bundy had a major sexual element to it. His first three were revolved around that. And it then evolved and transitioned into torture and then post adult element. I think there's a lot of hardcore enders out there that the 1122 crime could be compared to, but Bundy's not it. A few people have tried saying that, and I think mentally he's more close to Son of Sam than Bundy. And I don't think he's that close to Son of Sam. Because the lack of time, every single time Bundy took his time, and it was very controlled, and oh man, it's gross. It's so heinous. Um, Sitting on top of their chests and making them pass out, and then bringing them back and pass out, bringing them back, pass out, and it was just total and complete control. And then Bundy would wash them after. He would assume ownership of their bodies by washing their hair and their body and setting them up to how he wanted them to be. It's very, very, very different than 1122. Bundy is looked at as like the king, and that's so gross, but there's a reason why all of them want to be like Bundy. And I think part of that is just luck, because Bundy was the first one ever to have a fully nationally shown court case. He was the first ever to be presented nationally, and he presented him, or he was his own attorney. So the whole time he was talking and laughing and joking with the judge, and like it's so strange, you guys. Here, I think on our video here, let me see. I'll just show you some of his bodily, how he holds himself. It's so strange. So many women want what I see coming from Bundy is not like what if Kohberger's guilty is the opposite. Kohberger is very insecure in a public setting. Here's a good example. So if Kohberger is guilty and Kohberger is the guy, okay, when all the victims' families were in the courtroom sitting there, Kohberger did not make eye contact. What that does is that shows us that he was uncomfortable in that situation and setting. You know what Bundy would have done? He would have not only made eye contact, but he would have intentionally stared at them until they broke eye contact because he needed to be the dominant one in any situation. Bundy is one person I know a lot about. He's so detrimentally arrogant. It ended up getting him caught, but it also got him out of being arrested a whole bunch of times. Like, Bundy is a wild guy. If I could ever say, I am so happy they got the death penalty, it's Bundy, dude. He is terrifying. Look at how he holds himself. Like, none of this is serious. And he's being put to the death penalty here. And he's joking with the judge, messing around. Oh, judge, you know this or that. The whole time. It's so strange. Look at that evil smile, man. Yeah, his arrogance. I agree. Bundy would have winked, guaranteed. Ramirez too. No, if BK was running the show, he would have represented himself. Like Bundy. You know, there and what's so let's pretend Bundy is in Kohberger's shoes here, okay? He would have represented himself. He would have made all the victims' family members uncomfortable, and he would have tried to force talking to the remaining roommates for his own sick gain. It's so creepy. It is so creepy, you guys. But the way he holds his body is what I would expect to see a very well-trained salesperson, an expert, do in any uncomfortable situation. And he just doesn't feel feelings. It's not there. He doesn't get scared.
Ted Bundy, no way.
Yeah, some people are just saying they felt like there was like a correlation between Brian Kohberger and Bundy is one person I know a lot about just because he's so against the ordinary. He is so extraordinary in a horrible way, not a positive way, in a horrible way. That if I were to relate Kohberger, if he's guilty, to somebody, it would be somebody that has less control, less arrogance, more obsessive compulsive tendencies, and more rage.
Brian does have obsessive compulsive tendencies.
I know. That's why I'm saying I don't think Brian Kohberger having a part of this is some crazy stretch. We just know he's not an incel.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But he's also not like Bundy in any way either.
I don't know if I can say that Brian's even arrogant, to be honest.
No, he is very unsure of himself. Or he is so manipulative, he is making people feel like he is that person.
Yeah, so
That's really the only option.
Kimmy said to look up Timothy Krajiker, something like that. Which this says his name's Timothy Wayne McBride, so I don't know.
Oh, Timothy Wayne McBride.
He did his crimes in Missouri, Illinois,
yes,
Pennsylvania, and
yes.
Kentucky, and he is terrifying.
Yeah, I know who it,
but I don't think,
what's his name?
I just told you.
No, he has his serial name.
It doesn't say, but he is horrifying, and I don't know if you were comparing BK to him or not. He killed some people in towns that I've been to, and have been to a lot before. So it's
what
really
was
creepy.
His name?
But
they called him something.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't
Carbondale.
say. Yeah. But I don't think BK is like him because, and I keep hearing people say that BK is like
dude,
sexual.
Look at Bundy. Oh my gosh.
That Brian Kohberger is a sexual sadistic killer. Do you think that's what it would be? These crimes?
No,
I don't either.
No, not at all. No way.
I don't either.
And that's why, look, are all these people evil? Yes. Is there a correlation you can make? If Brian Kohberger ends up being guilty, if we find out he is the only one that did this, and there wasn't some kind of social dynamic involved in this that comes in when you have more than one suspect, if we find out he's the sole perpetrator of this crime, there's correlation between him and all of these guys because they are all evil.
Yeah.
They are all outside of what norm would be considered in their psyche. But the motive behind the psychological need and hunger to end people will be very different from certain people. Like BTK is very different from Bundy. I just spit everywhere. BTK is very different from Bundy. The Night Stalker is very different from BTK and very different from Bundy. Hewerman is more like BTK, and Son of Sam. Here's a strange one. So if Brian Kohberger's the guy, I would classify him mostly like Son of Sam.
Why?
For the motive, because Son of Sam was very manipulative in a way that he intentionally made people around him feel like he was weaker than them. He was also fueled by rage and an obsessive compulsive desire to overpower himself on people, and his crimes were instant. So it wasn't about controlling people by torturing them. It was that instant gratification of obsessive or lack of control to end these people. I get the weapons different. I understand that. But that's why there is no correlation between his victims and like 1122. But if you would have put a knife in Son of Sam's hams, Son of
in his ham?
In his Sam hams. If you would have put a knife in Son of Sam's hands.
No, it's his hams.
We would have had similar outcomes. Because that rage wouldn't have been able to stop. In my opinion, complete and total opinion, you guys, based off the psychology of serial killers is really interesting to me. That's like when I research and read on these guys, I want to know why it happened, where the flaw started, where the nature versus nurture started manipulating and twisting and changing this person's mind from a well-adjusted person of our society to a ill-adjusted, serial psycho, sociopathic person, you know?
Yeah, and I agree with you, Ian. I think each serial killer, while they can have some similarities, each one is unique for a reason because they're an individual person with individual traumas, individual, obsessions. But they all definitely are going to have some similarities.
So, Son of Sam was faking.
He was faking the hallucinations.
He was faking the hallucinations around the demons. It just didn't come out until 10 years later. And the Son of Sam time, there was also like a mini what's that called? The devil fear, the satanic panic. There was a little bit of satanic panic going on during that time. So the news and media held on to that and ran with it. But he was totally faking. Total and complete lies. He was not being led by a dog. He was not being talked to by demons. He just couldn't control his obsessive compulsive desires, his lack of confidence, his unending rage upon people that showed confidence and he knew would turn him down, you know?
Yeah, the satanic panic. That's why they all bought into that. Another thing that would be interesting is to know about BK is if he's shown any tendencies, behavioral, bedwetting.
It would be interesting.
Yeah, it would be. Kimmy sent this picture that she wanted you to look at. That girl,
yeah, I know.
Girl fawning over him.
Dude, I know.
Yeah, it's really weird that some of those jurors did that, where they were like, "Oh, he's so charming." Like, do you want to get murdered by him?
Yeah. So that when the cops talk about Bundy being in prison, when they talk about the amount of letters he got, they are so pissed off that they have to talk about it, dude. They're probably all like, what is going on here? How is this psychopath pulling women like this, you know? But those are probably sick women. I don't know. Is there some kind of nature versus nurture alpha gene that attracts these certain women? I don't know. But I just mean the psychology. If Brian's the guy and the sole guy, that's important, because if he's not the sole guy, it changes everything. If he did this with another person, it changes everything.
It does.
Because then the sociological factors come into play, and that's very different from the psychological, personal factors in a crime.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel you, Mike. I have insomnia sometimes too. But I think mine's from diabetes though, and my stuff's not right. But
about the grand jury, BK's parents were called in, right?
Yes.
About that missing girl.
Yep.
Nothing came from it, but
no. There was no connection whatsoever. None.
I don't think his parents would absolutely know. They may think that he's odd, that they may have some fears of him. That doesn't mean they know for sure he's a killer.
Yeah, what's very strange, you guys, another reason why I have a hard time hopping on this Brian Kohberger is for sure the guy Train. And another reason why I feel like he's more like the hot yoga killer or Son of Sam is his rejection wasn't a natural seed in him from his maternal and paternal relationships. His maternal and paternal relationships all seem okay. Now, does that mean that he couldn't have had trauma like I have trauma from when I was younger from a family member that wasn't in my immediate family, and he wasn't able to get over his, and that caused some kind of something? It totally could be. That could cause the rejection you need to start having these obsessive compulsive tendencies to start, popping their head up.
Seriously, LA? I'm gonna have to go watch it after this. One of the girls that spoke at the vigil in Moscow tonight said to the crowd they got the news hours
we
before
know.
noon. Yeah, there's been quite a few people to come out and say that, but that's interesting saying it at the vigil.
Yep.
So was she on stage?
So dude, you guys, there are interviews out there, legit verifiable interviews of students who got the news at 8 a.m. and the proof that they have it is that they called out. One of them called out at 9:25 a.m. and was able to show that they called out at 9:25. They called out because they heard that 4 people passed. They didn't know that it was done with a knife. They thought that 4 people passed from an OD, and they called out of work because of that. That news is what started us on this journey with the Idaho 4. When I was first watching the Idaho 4 stuff, I was like, oh, dude, it's probably Brian. I think it's Brian, that all makes sense. And we hadn't dug into him. But then the very next information I got was the evidence of students knowing about this at 8 a.m. or some earlier, and the proof and evidence of them calling out at 9 a.m. Well, the cops weren't called until 12. So who told them?
Right.
Brian Koberger isn't friends with those guys. So who told them? It either has to be more than one person, or it's not who we think it is,
So I haven't heard that at all, that he mistreated his father physically before, but obviously that would be terrible if that was true. But Brian, we have to remember Brian was an addict. So
yeah, I think your classification of mistreatment is important. Are we talking about mistreatment as in physically abusing him? Because that would be super uncommon for a killer. Like, so uncommon for a male killer is to abuse their father. Normally it is reversed.
yeah.
And they normally take out their anger on their mother, unless they don't have a father figure, and then the mother inherits the dominant familial guidance.
Yeah, for sure. And it also depends on, like, I know some situations I've been in where I've had to defend myself, and then I was accused of being the aggressor and actually got arrested for it once, even though I was just pushing somebody away from me. Yeah. And then I was the abusive one for pushing them away from me when they were attacking me. So,
yeah,
I mean, we have to, and when it's family, a lot of emotions come into play. And a lot of parents feel like they can put their hands on their kids, but their kids can't put their hands on them.
I think that's going too far. I think that mistreatment doesn't have to be physical. I think we should be careful about bringing in the physical aspect, because there are parents out there that will say, hey, I have a child that mistreats the heck out of me. They are so awful to me and so abusive to me, and they don't even they will have not put a hand on them. It is theft because they're an addict. It is name calling. It is verbal abuse. You know what I mean? Like that, those details are important because that changes the dynamic of who he is. One thing that people don't like to know about, and I'm sorry if I'm preaching at you guys, throw tomatoes at me if you want me to stop. The psychology behind serial enders is something I'm so interested in, like obsessed over the psychology aspects.
You don't have to justify it.
But I don't want to talk on it if people don't want to hear about it.
Right. Do I look like an aggressor to you, plumber?
Yeah. That's not my hammer I've been showing you. That's not my hammer.
Preach away.
But so something that a lot of people don't like hearing, myself included, nobody likes hearing this, but the human mind is very animalistic, where we are very much alike, and we are very much like we always tend to do the same things in a general sense, like in a social sense, in a sociology type perspective. Humans as a group do all the same things. So when we track the psychology behind serial enders, they are very, 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 very similar. And you can connect the same kind of dots. You know, you have serial enders that, like, who was that? Brian was saying, I think, like Son of Sam, where they had such a deep-seated rejection because there was no parental background, that's what caused that uncontrollable obsession and rage to end those people with his weapon of choosing was a gun, you know, in that way. Then you have other types where they didn't have a father figure, but they had a dominant mother figure. And that is who's that big tall guy that ended up cutting off his mom's head? We just talked about him the other day.
Ed Kemper.
Ed Kemper. You have your Bundys. You have not Night Stalker, the other one where they were both called Night Stalker for a while.
Golden State Killer?
Yes, Golden State. And then you have your father, no mother figure, father abusive enders. And all of these people, all of these serial enders have very, very, very similar backgrounds, and similar dots can be connected. So when we're looking at the psychological aspects of somebody who's going through a trial like Brian is, normally you're able to backtrack and connect these dots. But his dots are very, very uncommon. I'm not saying it's not possible. I think it's less likely he did it by himself if he's involved, and more likely there were people involved. Because when you add the social element of it, of other people being involved, it changes the entire dynamics. And what's it called? Peer pressure comes into play. And then it goes into the psychological aspects of how important peer pressure is to you based on your past history and experiences with family and friends and things like that. It just opens a whole other door. You know what I mean? Sorry, long rant. Not Ed Gein. It's Ed Kemper. Ed Kemper. Ed Kemper was the one with the really mean mom. No father figure, horribly mean mom. And he ended up like and abusing that or her head, you know. Trying to think of a way to say it. But yeah. Yeah, Ed Kemper is so intelligent and likable. Ed Kemper actually in a social setting is more like it is probably more like Bundy than a lot of those out there. Everybody who's associated with Ed Kemper has positive things to say about him, want to talk to him, want to hang around him, including the guards, including the FBI, including the special forces units he's been a part of. He's a very likable person, but that hold his mom had on him was scary stuff, man.
Yeah, it was. Good night, Kimmy.
Good night. Good night. Good night.
Yeah, we don't know much about BK's personality.
I wish I could know. That's something I tried finding anything out about, because that would help me connect some kind of dots there. Something. His parents are still together. That's uncommon. His sisters have really good jobs and careers. That's uncommon. His parents had a reliable job history. Very uncommon. So what that shows is that Brian Koberger never had to go through any periods of uncertainty around his basic human needs like food, water, sleep, health, any of those things. None of his family members have passed. Another uncommon thing. Now, both of his sisters are in psychology, though. That is a flag. Why are both of them in psychology and he's going into what could be considered a psychologically driven profession? Was something going on in that family that could have caused the children to all have some kind of desire to be into that
Yeah, it's odd that
profession?
It's odd they all have psychology degrees or something similar. They all are interested in mental health. The
it's
mind.
Strange. What caused that to where they have similar interpersonal interests in their whole career path, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Were the two sisters just really close and Brian wasn't? Is there an honest reason for it? Is there a scary, dishonest reason for it?
Plumber, are his sisters hateful towards him though? Because like, have we even had a confirmed statement from any of the sisters? Because everything I've heard seemed like an anonymous tip, which I don't really trust. So
Yeah, there hasn't been anything reliable. Just speculation. No, nothing.
There hasn't been a single statement from the sisters that was like official.
No. There hasn't been a single reliable anything for Brian. The only reliable thing that's come out is that principal who came out and said Brian was removed from the ROTC program and it seemed like he got his life together and things were good and he was transferred into another different type of class. But one more thing to think of. I know that mainstream media wants you to look at that situation and think, oh my gosh, what did he do? So bad, got removed from that. But it wasn't that bad because he wasn't removed from the school.
It wasn't ROTC?
If it wasn't ROTC, it was like an ROTC style class around law enforcement, where they wear their uniforms and, you know.
Somewhere I got the distinct impression that their parenting style was overly sheltering and overbearing, which I have heard.
Could be.
I've heard they're very religious.
Oh.
So maybe that's why. Maybe you're right.
Not that there's anything wrong with religion. I said ooh because it made me think, are they using religion in an unhealthy way to control them? You know what I mean? I was thinking like cult style, you know?
Yeah. And well,
control.
I know my parents filed bankruptcy twice when I was younger, and I still never had to worry about anything, even with them doing that. Like, I didn't have to worry about nothing. You know what I mean? They might have, but I didn't.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like it doesn't.
Credit cards are great.
They seem pretty wealthy. So if they did file bankruptcy,
they aren't wealthy, but they just aren't. They're
right.
Middle.
They're middle class. So if they did file bankruptcy, that doesn't necessarily mean that they were like poor. You know what I mean?
No. Yeah, you guys, I'm just completely theorizing here. We don't know Brian's manipulative. We don't know that anything bad happened in his family. We don't know anything, nothing. He is a completely blank canvas. We know nothing. All I know is he doesn't fit the normal category of what we would expect to see from a serial ender. That doesn't mean that he's not that OCD obsessive rage ender like the hot yoga studio, though.
It was a law enforcement and protective services program.
Yeah. ROTC-ish, that's what it reminds me of, but I appreciate that because I know they wore like their police uniforms and stuff.
Yeah, you're right, Tara. That's very true. I think we mentioned that before. That's not weird. I was a vegan and vegetarian for a long time, and I wouldn't eat food that was cooked with meat.
The only thing that's weird, if we're being honest here, and he's innocent until proven guilty. I have no idea if he's guilty. I don't know the details around his crime. I think that there are good red flags for other people that could have done this, but I think there are some weird flags with him too. But the big red flag with Kohberger is the OCD tendencies.
Wait, Kohberger's mom wrote an op-ed about Ted Bundy?
No way.
Uh-oh.
I wanna read it. Well, is she in psychology and that is the reason why the daughters are? They grew up being close to their mom, maybe? I don't know. It's so hard to know.
Brian Kohberger's mom wrote against Ted Bundy's death penalty in a 1989 column. Is taking human life okay? Question mark.
Whoa.
Yeah, whoa. I didn't know that.
Was
Dude, that's insane. She wrote this and now her son is on the death penalty after she wrote against the death penalty?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's wild. I'm going to have to read it now.
Yeah.
She's a paraprofessional at the school, a teacher, basically.
Yeah. No, I was being over dramatic. It's not that big of a deal depending on what her profession is.
Dude, that's super strange foreshadowing, okay? It's crazy. It's absolutely freaking crazy.
I mean, I would have advocated for the DP for Bundy just because of how many times he got out.
Oh, I would totally advocate for the DP for Ted Bundy.
And I usually
don't
feel like that. Like,
right.
I usually would rather have them just rot in a jail cell, but Bundy was terrifying, man. So scary.
Dude, he kept escaping and like slaughtering people.
He had 3 escapes.
Well, yeah,
3.
Once you escape 3 times, I'm sorry, but
no more.
We can't take any more chances.
No more. No.
No more chances.
No more. Hey, Asane.
That's super crazy, man. I had no idea about that. What? There's an article here saying Brian Kohberger cheered up and was more chatty in criminology class after Idaho murders, claims classmate. But you know what was just in the court TV special? Classmates on camera saying that he would come into class for only like 10 minutes and you could tell something was going on, and he just started grading everybody like 100 and that you could tell he was preoccupied by something.
That's just all talk, man.
And then you
everyone
have people
wants
saying,
to put
now you have people saying that he was cheered up and chatty.
Yeah, everyone wants their input. Us too, you know.
Really weird. Yeah, people, I guess, do like to talk. We're people that like to talk too.
For sure. I just try really hard to make it clear, like, this is my opinion. It doesn't matter if you do that. To each their own. But it makes me feel bad when I give like share experiences I've had and they give the wrong impression. I don't like that. Moscow, Idaho, Brian Christopher Koberger, 28, the suspect arrested and charged with this horrible stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students, Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogans, Anna Cornoto, and Ethan Chapin, appeared in court on Tuesday, January 3rd. Since his arrest, there have been a downpour of theories and speculations about him and his family across the internet as we're doing that. Recently, a new nugget of information has been shared about Koberger's family, specifically his mother. A Twitter user shared crucial details about Koberger's mother, Marianne Koberger, because she wrote a column about Ted Bundy. The Twitter user shared a photo of the suspect along with an article clipping. In a 1989 Daily News column titled Cheering the Hearse, Brooklyn, Mary Ann Koberger wrote about Ted Bundy's execution. Oh, I need the whole thing. Not just cookie cuttered.
It's right there.
Oh, that's it?
Yep.
Cheering the Hearse. Brooklyn. Perhaps one of the saddest commentaries on mankind was evident during the execution of Theodore Bundy. While no sane, compassionate individual would excuse the atrocities committed by this man, neither would any sane individual applaud the passing of his funeral hearse. What have we become? Is the taking of a human life acceptable when the state takes responsibility for it?
Is that Brian Koberger?
This?
Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
Weird. Why does he look so old in some pictures?
I don't know.
And then in other pictures, he looks like totally different.
I don't know.
Cue the conspiracy theories.
That it's 2 people?
Yep.
And that everybody's FBI theories are right and he's an undercover agent and only one of the 2 are in jail? Oh, man.
Yeah, it could be drugs for sure.
Yeah.
That's not his mom, J-Ray.
That? No.
That's not his mom.
I had to check. Like, I better be right.
I think that's definitely Koberger.
Yeah, it's definitely Koberger. I wonder what it would look like to put like a wig on him, long hair. Would it look similar to his mom? He has been looking better since he's been in prison. You're right.
Maybe he was on drugs, or maybe he's getting sleep.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Just look at his sister.
No way is that his mom. No way. I don't believe it.
Who said it's his mom?
J-Ray.
She said it again?
No.
All of the kids look just like Marianne. That's interesting.
No, we haven't been in the case for a long time. Yeah, those are super masculine traits. When who was a dentist? Brian Koberger was a dentist?
No, he wasn't.
That's a doctorate. You have to be a doctor.
Yeah, but she's saying with the toothy smile and like the head thing, he looks like a dentist.
Got it.
Maybe he did some dental training.
Yeah. He was a dentist for 15 years.
He must be way older than we thought he was.
Yeah.
But
Can you find pictures of his ma?
I'm looking right now.
Where's his ma?
Well, she was
Brian
on News
Koberger's
Nation.
ma.
She was
Where?
on News Nation.
No.
That's what it says.
No. This is the other one.
The other mom?
The other aunt.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who is that?
Is that his ma?
Is that his mom?
I don't know. Or is this the missing girl?
Go down. Go down. It'll say under her name. Yeah, Dana Smithers.
Okay, so not ma. All right. Well, I guess they're harder to find. They probably hired a scrubbing service.
Oh, for
That's
sure.
what I would do.
For sure.
Oh, wait. Is this a... Oh, no. Kentucky woman is lovesick for Brian Koberger.
That's so weird that people do that.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. We'll have to pull it up on the way bake.
Is that his sister?
I don't know.
I think that is his sister. Yep. His sister Amanda.
Yeah. He was casted for Pauly Shore's Biodome. That's super funny. Yeah, on Wednesday we're gonna be going over the evidence. Just some of the evidence. It's gonna be a good show Wednesday. Good show. We're going over all the PCA and everything that's not true in there with evidence.
His parents were at the Pennsylvania hearing. Was that recorded?
No. It was recorded when he was leaving. I think that's when he was seen mouthing "I love you" or whatever to his parents. I could be wrong, but
yeah, in the Court TV special, they said that he like basically stared at his parents the whole time.
Yeah, that's sad. If he's innocent, that's sad.
I've seen pictures of his dad before. When he was cleaning up the house once they kicked it in.
Yeah. Okay, I'll look up her name. Is this it? Who is that? Is that it? No, that's his sister right here. So this is his sister. This is his aunt. Is this his ma?
There's a picture right there.
Or is that Coffin Daffer?
What? That's not Coffin Daffer.
I
think that might be Dana Smithers again.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Are we blocked or something from viewing pictures?
I don't know. What is she wearing? Is she like into some kinky stuff or something? I can't tell what that is.
Fashion mirrors kink a lot.
Yeah. This is, I think I did look this stuff up.
Wait, I think that might be her.
So it is her? No.
What?
That's talking about his post-crime behavior.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Are you? I have never seen this. Have you seen
what?
this? Read that title. I can't say it out loud.
You come in here.
Dude,
no way.
Yeah, clearly that girl was lying.
Post that in the Discord. That is so awful. Oh my gosh.
If you guys want to see something insane, go to the Discord. I am posting it right now.
For everyone that's on here, our Discord is free, you guys. There's some misconception around what Discord is. It's just a place where we chat and I post when we're sending our videos out. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't do anything except give us a place to chat and post at our own time. I will post the invite here. A lot of us that are on here are in this Discord. So hang on.
That's the inmate. That is not. And her interview is even on there.
It's
like recorded.
That's awful. That's awful. That headline is awful. Jeez. No, I don't remember that. That is awful, though. Gosh. And one other here.
Every picture I see of his mom, she's hiding in a hood.
Really?
Yeah, look, that's her. And his sister.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, honestly, I would probably hide in a hood too. Really? I probably would.
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm gonna have to like go dig just to be able to see anything.
Yeah.
CH, your Google must be much better than our Google.
Yeah.
CIA agents do stuff like that.
Oh, shoot. I need to get that video posted too. I forgot.
Oh, somebody
for the membership.
Somebody just
video around the crime.
Kylie said just sent you a pic of her.
Okay, in Discord?
Is it in the email or Discord, Kylie? And thank you.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
It's from her Reddit account, not super good quality.
Oh, okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I see the one where she looks up in the hood, but it's still really hard to see her because she's like wearing a mask. What?
Reddit?
Yeah, she doesn't say she sent it through Reddit. She said that it's from Reddit.
Oh, okay.
I would check.
I was trying to figure out where it's at.
I'm assuming the email because I don't. Do you see it in the Discord?
No, I don't. Okay, email.
I don't see it there either, actually. Weird. Her email is weird sometimes.
Yeah, it is weird sometimes.
I don't get it. Why does it do that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not there. I'm sorry, Kylie. It's not there. It didn't pop up.
Nope.
It's not in spam either. Something's up
Yeah.
with that.
She's clad in black.
She is clad in black.
I know. It's just funny.
Hey, the Coburgers really like black.
Yeah. But we're gonna get that video out soon, you guys, for all the members. So remember, all the members are going to have the 2-hour this is how we would commit the crime video. And it's good. It's good. We go through everything. But I just have to finish editing a few parts of it, and then that should be posted. So we're working on that pretty hard. And make sure you add our Twitter. I posted our Twitter link on here. I keep forgetting to talk about this in the beginning. We just dive right into the conversation, and I always forget. If you're on Twitter, make sure you join us. You add us, and we'll follow you back.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I posted the membership link in there too. And make sure you guys leave us some love. It helps us grow. Once we get to a point we can be full-time, oh man, you guys, the ideas we have, the plans we have, it's going to be good. It's going to be so good.
Yeah.
Once we have the time to do it. We're already building a third set and a completely new show while keeping the old ones.
Mikey, would your emails say Mikey? I have one from you here. I don't know why that keeps happening. People say they sent us something and it doesn't pop up. So I don't know.
Maybe it's delayed. There might be a delay.
Maybe there's a delay. I don't know.
Yeah.
If we don't get it
at
all,
as soon as I get it, you guys keep an eye out on our YouTube. 99% of you are on YouTube. I will post it on the YouTube for everyone. So just keep an eye on that, and as soon as we get it, we'll post it on YouTube. We seem happier upon closeout. I'm always happy. And who said I was closing out?
You did.
Oh, okay. Just checking. But yeah, as soon as it comes through, you guys, I will post it.
CH, that video of the vigil from Crim 2 actually has that part in it. Just, I'm gonna have to download that video. Watch, it's gonna get deleted, that part.
Yeah, you better record it, screen record it.
I am going to.
Mm-hmm. I can do it on here.
I can do it too.
But yeah, we're always happy on here. We don't I don't think I've ever been offended as long as we've had this channel, have I? I don't think so. I can't think of one time I've ever gotten offended.
No, I don't think I've ever seen you get offended. I don't think so.
It's a challenge, you guys. You can try to offend me. It won't happen.
J. Ray, I've never seen you be mean. Like, literally never.
We have too good of a community for anything like that.
Yeah, and I think tonight was great. You guys all did good sharing input and being respectful, and I really appreciate that from every single one of you. It's great. It's wonderful.
I do like being offended. I just haven't been offended.
I've been offended.
But I do like it. I just haven't been it. All right, guys, that is the show tonight. This is True Crime Talk Show. If you guys want to check it out,
Give it time.
I don't think so. Ask Malia. I'm not normal with that stuff. I'm a professional salesman. For those of you that are new here, I've been in sales for 15 years, like regional, essentially business to business sales. So it's very rare I'm offended. Very rare.
I'm the only one that can offend it.
People come hard at us already. Normally it's other content creators, and I don't know why, because we're so nice.
Yeah, it is shocking, Mikey. A lot of it is, but
my ideas probably are mainstream, like for promoting. Oh wait, you're trying to offend me. How dare you? So offended.
you agreed. He was trying to get you not to agree and be offended, and you agree.
Well, Ian's logical, so I thought he was saying like, hey, the podcast like ideas in general are like corporate mainstream. I don't know.
Yes.
I was offended though. That was just my,
Kells, are you the watcher?
Yes, everyone, send positive thoughts and prayers and everything to whatever your belief is. That positivity, it has substance. There's science proving that positive thoughts literally have substance and a frequency. So whether it's prayers, whether it's positivity, no matter what it is, I think we should send it to their families. So great call out, Paige. I appreciate that. And
J Ray, and I know I promised you an email. I'm gonna send it. I will. It's just a lot to go through, but I'll send it. And yes, let's end the stream.
Okay.
Saying their names: Ethan, Xana, Kaylee, and Maddie. Don't ever forget what we're all here for. Justice, the truth.
Truth is justice.
Yep. You can't have justice without the truth.
Yes.
Ian, stop it.
Yes. We appreciate all of you guys. Make sure you join that Twitter and Discord. It's a fun time. There's only been drama in there once, but we take care of it quick when it happens. And it wasn't even big drama. It was just like people that knew each other and were like bickering at each other. And there are pictures of me putting on chapstick in Discord.
Yeah, it's literally the reason you should join.
Yeah.
His epic chapstick application. Ian, just no. I disagree with you for once.
All right, guys, we appreciate you. This is the True Crime Talk Show. My name is Brendan.
I'm Malia.
And this is Thought Riot Podcast. All of you have a great night.
Yeah, we'll see you next time, Mikey. Don't worry about it. Bye. Have a great night.